The Michael K. Show on Yes is brought to you by Untuck It. Shirts designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
We're on the road with the Michael K. Show. Today we're live from your mother's house, kitchen and bar in Long Island for our annual TMKS holiday party. There are many special guests standing by to get you in the festive mood. So without any further ado, let's send it down to the men behind the mics, Michael K., Don LaGreca, and Peter Rosenberg.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed the Michael K. Show, coming to you live from your mother's house.
Say what?
In Garden City Park, Long Island. It's our annual holiday show. The place is jammed. First off, thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Great crowd.
It's a very festive. This is as festive, as dialed in, and as upbeat an audience I've ever seen for one of the live holiday events.
I gotta tell you, I got here about...
You hear that?
Look at it.
That's all I said. I said nothing.
They are lubed up.
Yeah.
I got here before 1:30 and the place was packed. And everybody was really excited about the show, so I can imagine by now, after waiting as long as they did, they're ready. They are ready.
Now, I think
I'm ready.
in order to kick off the holiday in the proper way...
Sure.
Unfortunately, on the radio, I'll have to describe it. But, Don, please stand up for everybody to see what you're wearing.
Let's see if I can... I'll come right out.
Oh, excuse me? Nothing like a holiday event. Here we go. Don is stepping off the stage for people to get a look. He's zipping up.
It's, what would you call it, a twosie? It's not a onesie.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like PJs. It's like a hooded PJs situation.
Yeah, with Santa's face and snowflakes and green and red and white.
It's very interesting, though, because normally when people wear an outfit like that, you picture it being kind of like loose.
Right.
His is almost like form-fitting, like an outfit he could wear out. This is something you could start wearing regularly.
Are you saying he's heavy or
that's not what I was saying. Actually, my guess would be he's in good shape, and so he's not getting the same size he would have gotten.
Now, what's the shirt underneath say? Raised by elves.
It's an elf shirt. It's not your first elf shirt, right?
No. I had worn one the last time we had the holiday party. I had the sweater. You didn't see Elf, Michael?
Yes, I did.
But then why'd you read it like, where's that from?
Well, I'm just reading it for the radio audience. They don't see it, so...
But you read it without...
Casablanca, I get it. Okay.
No, listen, I like Elf a lot. I think Don has it very high on the top of his...
Right.
His Mount Rushmore. Is it your Mount Rushmore of Christmas movies?
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah. It's very funny.
Right at the top. Now, Michael, you decided to go Hefner.
Yeah.
Explain.
Well, it's Christmassy. It's very holiday-like. It's for those that don't know, it's a burgundy, velour.
Yeah,
you
that's
own
velour.
it.
It's like a tuxedo jacket.
It's a smoking jacket.
A smoking jacket. And I was looking around for a pipe, and the only ones I found were illegal. I wanted to have like a pipe, like.
Oh, that would have been nice.
Yeah, but there's no pipe place.
And you're wearing like a button-down black shirt.
Yeah.
With the. Phone line's jammed. Everything on the table, mostly football. But Don said he said something that previously that he was beat up for, lambasted,
because
if you will.
If you remember the end of Eli,
great movie.
The feeling around me was that I was an Eli Manning apologist, and we had people like you and people like Andrew Gunling that were in callers. Eli's done. Eli stinks. This is awful. And to a certain extent, they were right, because he was not the quarterback that he was. He did not age well. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Tom Brady, or even Roethlisberger, for that matter. Can you imagine what would be happening to Eli if he was the quarterback of this team? As a pocket quarterback with no offensive line? Well, that's kind of what Eli was at the end. Like the caller reminded me of it. They haven't had a good offensive line for years. At least Jones has some legs. He can make some things happen. A pocket quarterback would be killed with this offensive line. So I understand, and Dan Orlovsky is going to come on at 5:15. He's going to tell us that only 4 of those sacks were on the offensive line, and Jones has got to do this better. Jones has got to do that better. But I only think there's so much quarterbacks can do when the offensive line is completely demolished. Does that excuse the pick six? No, it doesn't. Does that excuse every single sack? No, because I'm sure there's some sacks that other quarterbacks would have found a way to get rid of the ball. But, Peter, can you be productive? That's what I want to ask Dan. All right, maybe Jones took a sack he shouldn't have, but was there a play to be made? Could he have thrown it away? Would it have been an incompletion, a gain of negative yardage because he got the completion, he got the ball off, but they couldn't get it past the line of scrimmage? I don't know how you can be productive, Peter, when the offensive line has been as bad as it's been for the Giants. Even the Jets' offensive line, I think, has been good enough that you can make some plays with Wilson. This Giants' offensive line, especially with Thomas out, it's been a sieve.
I don't hate this take by you because you're right. It would be brutal. Can you imagine?
Yeah, pocket. He'd be dead.
Now, maybe as Dan will explain, and as he explained on television earlier, it seems like Jones is making some decisions where he's not making it much better for himself, but at least he has some bit of elusiveness. There was one in particular, Don, the sack fumble for Daniel on Monday night. Where do you watch the video of what Orlovsky said about that play?
Yeah.
Where it's like he should have seen that there was an unchecked man, and he should have known he was. That was an interesting one to see. And again, most of us, Don, if you don't have incredible football expertise, we all have a gauge of like, oh, well, the quarterback had no time. By the way, did you see Micheal on TV there? You can't see him, can you?
No, I've got again. They
move. Can you try to move so you can see him?
You know what I think the most interesting thing on television is the one that's always behind the light that I can't see.
You know, you missed it. I wanted you to see
when they announce when the news breaks in and they announce the cure for cancer, it's going to be behind the TV with the light. I'm not going to see it. All right, Greek just sent this to me. I want to put my fist through the TV. NJ.com. Daryl Sattler is the author of the article.
Okay.
The Giants had just delivered another sluggish first half Monday night against the Seahawks. So fans at MetLife Stadium showered them with booze before the players headed to the locker room. Right tackle Evan Neal looked up towards the stands, raised his arms, and gestured sarcastically. He said he did not flip off fans, but he did yell a clear message to them. They are booing us, so I said, boo louder, Neal told NJ Advanced Media on Wednesday. The Giants 1-3 entered Sunday's challenging game against my blah, 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 blah. So I'm trying to get to the quote here. Why would a lion concern himself with the option of, oh, I'm sorry. I found it. Why would a lion concern himself with the opinion of a sheep? He added. The person that's commenting on my performance, what does he do? Flip hot dogs and hamburgers somewhere? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'd cut his ass. I would. How dare you? How dare you? These people pay your salary. They pay an obnoxious amount of money to park, an obnoxious amount of money for PSLs to sit there and watch this pap, and you call them hamburger flippers? What, you're so much better? I'd rather have a guy that's flipping hamburgers block than your piece of garbage ass. Who the hell are you to talk to fans like that? You piece of garbage. I hate when players do that. You're not above us. What, because you happen to play a sport? You make them, you're better than me? You're better than the people that pay your salary? These Giant fans were here before you, and they'll be here after your sorry ass is cut. What a piece of human trash. And I don't want to hear some apology. I don't want to hear, oh, I was taken out of context. I didn't mean, I don't want to hear, done. I would cut his fat ass. Oh, if I'm John Mara, I call him into the office and say, you were a first-round pick, but you're not worth anything. You don't talk to our fans that way. You don't talk to me that way. You are out of a job. You should boo him. If you see him in the mall of Willowbrook, boo his ass. If you see him on the DMV, boo him. Don't stop booing him. If he goes to the Pro Bowl, boo him. If he wins a Super Bowl, boo his sorry ass. Screw that guy. I mean, that angers me. We're not nobody. Flipping, but how do you condescend to people that pay to watch you play? Poorly, I might add.
Really bad.
I hate players like that.
I thought it was going to end.
Them.
I was going to say, if the whole thing was he just said boo louder, I was going to be like, oh, so he's saying like we deserve it. Like, no, keep the boos coming. That's where I thought you were going.
Flipping hot dogs.
Think about how wrong I was. I thought he was going to say, no, keep booing. We deserve to be booed.
There are people in the stands that are doctors. They cure diseases. They're Giant fans, too. There are people that are architects. They build bridges and buildings. You block poorly. Don't ever talk to anybody like that again. Seriously, I don't care. First round pick, how much money hit to the cap. That would really show me something. Cut. And I know he'll get picked up. He'll play someplace else. One day, you're not going to play football anymore. And if there's a God up above, it'll be soon. And I hope you're flipping burgers. And when I buy that burger from you, I'll spit in it.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you'd boo.
Throw it right back in your face.
All right, here we go. Let me give you a little bit more from this.
I'd rather you not.
Neil also insisted, I know I'm improving, even if people who know less about football, as he described them, believe otherwise. He added, quote, I'm going to continue to get better. Why did he yell at fans to boo louder? Quote, because that just further shows that people are fair weather. A lot of fans are bandwagoners. I mean, I get it. They want to see us perform well, and I respect all of that. But no one wants us to perform well more than we do. And how can you say you're really a fan when we're out there battling our asses off and the game wasn't going well? But the best you can do is boo your home team? So how much of a fan are you really? Here's the thing, Evan. They don't believe you're battling your ass off. They think it's a weak effort. This isn't the same as baseball. This isn't booing Giancarlo Stanton because he's not making contact. This is an effort sport, and no one's impressed by the effort.
Fair weather? Giant fans are fair weather? The last time they played a home game, you lost 40-0. That place was still packed. They were still cheering. They were still into the game at 14-3.
They were.
They booed you at halftime because you didn't score a touchdown for the fourth consecutive game in the first half.
At that moment, you guys were down, just fair weather. At that moment when they booed you at halftime, you guys in 2023 in MetLife Stadium were down 54-3.
Fair weather.
54-3.
Fair weather. Fair weather.
Fair weather.
Are you nuts?
Fair the weather. You're the one who just called the fans hamburger flippers because you didn't like the way they cheered you.
Wow,
and you're a turnstile.
It's insulting to not. All right, it's one thing to insult us to say our opinion doesn't matter, but flipping burgers and hot dogs. I got news for you. People that flip burgers and hot dogs can't afford the PSLs and the money it costs to park and all that, and they still find a way to go in to see the team because they love the team and they care about the team and they've been with this team forever.
Evan,
honestly,
Evan, you blocked your own teammate on Monday.
God, you
blocked your own teammate.
I don't get these players. I don't understand. What do they expect us to do? Cheer you as you come off the field?
But also,
what is this, college?
But also, why are you taking it personally? You signed up for listen, you work very hard. No one thinks that you made it there by accident, okay? Everybody knows that pro ball players worked their tail off to get there. We all know that. But you also get paid an exorbitant amount of money for a reason. And it's funny because the main culprits, the people who the players seem to blame the most, are the reason you're paid the exorbitant money. You love to go after the media, who broadcast your games to the world and the fans who are the only reason these companies can afford to pay you. Why take it personally? Just take the L.
Especially football fans. You think they wanted to be there for another night game disaster? People that live in South Jersey, people that live out on Long Island, where it literally takes them 3 hours to get home after these games. The experience of watching an NFL game in person isn't nearly as good as sitting home on your couch and watching it on a big jumbo screen in HD. But these people want to be there to see their team play. These tickets have been handed down from father to son, from grandfather to great-grandfather. They've been in these families for years. These people support the team, win, lose, or draw. A lot of miserable, awful, ugly seasons and games to get disgraced by the Dallas Cowboys, disgraced by the Philadelphia Eagles, week in and week out, and yet still go and still love this team and still paint their face and buy the jersey to watch this team. You bet they deserve to boo you when you play poorly. And how dare you disrespect those fans that pay your salary?
Oh, my Lord.
God, I hate it when they do that. But then he took it the next step, the next level. Who are you? It wouldn't be right to do if he was a Pro Bowler and had 7 Super Bowl rings. You think he deserves to do it for a guy that barely deserves to be on the field? God, it's just so insane. I'm tired of these athletes that treat these fans like they're some yo-yos that don't matter. We are the only thing that matter because you exist because of us. We're the ones that are paying the money, paying the PSLs, paying for the Sunday ticket, watching these games so the NFL can get billions of dollars to broadcast the games. Why do you think they get billions of dollars? Because we can't get enough of the sport, and you disrespect us like that?
It's super disappointing to hear that. Listen,
cut him. Cut him.
Well, you said that earlier.
Cut his fat ass. Boo his ass. Boo him. God, you piece of garbage. These people we have 2 sports radio stations because fans in New York can't get enough of their teams.
No, you tapped into something really important, though, Don. Here's the thing that Evan Neal doesn't realize. When he called the fans hamburger flippers. Not that there's anything wrong with flipping hamburgers for a living. I love hamburgers, please. You don't realize the sacrifice just to go to the game. I'm sorry. You know how you say we can't relate to you because you're a pro player? Like we're talking about Dan Orlovsky coming on the show. He knows football in a way we don't. We're not a pro player. I'm telling you this right now. You as a fan who's been good at football your whole life, you don't know the experience of being a fan. Do you have any idea how annoying it is to go to games? Do you have any idea how annoying it is for a hardworking person to go to a night football game? That is literally like a job. At home, Don, you know what you do when Daniel Jones throws the pick 6 and the game goes 21-3? You turn on Monday Night Raw and call it a day. But when you're at the game, you have to stick it out. You hope they could turn it around because guess what? You're seeing the people pour out of the building. You're thinking about the line to get on Route 3. And then you're going, oh, my God, what time am I getting home tonight? What time do I have to drop the kids off at school? What do I have tomorrow? It's a legitimate sacrifice to your week to go to a night game.
It's amazing to me that the people that are so important get so disrespected. Why do you think you make the money that you make?
If there were no fans or media, it's called people who are really talented playing football outside by themselves.
I'm sorry, win over.
No, you got to talk to me about bath fitter, Don. I believe.
I don't want to.
Well, can you? Cool off in the bath.
Don LaGreca here to tell you about my friends at Bath Fitter. They remodeled my mom's bath.
Let's go to, everyone loves this topic. Walt in New Jersey. Hey, Walt.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey.
I think somebody should send Boone to some of the Yankee players to a Little League game where they could see fundamental baseball played. Yesterday, the Yankees were down a run, had a left-handed batter, man on first, third baseman. Texas is playing at the shortstop spot. The shortstop's playing almost behind second base. Why don't they bunt? There's never, ever an opportunity that you have like that. Bunt the ball.
But who was it?
Bunt it.
Who was up?
I forgot. It was a left-handed batter. I mean, it's not the first time this goes on. They don't. The Yankees Boone never comes out with a fundamental play.
Nobody bunts.
Analytics believe that. Why would they give up an out?
By the way, Trevino tried one yesterday.
No, bunt down the line for a hit. Then you put a guy in first and second. There's so many times they base running blunders, which is ridiculous. I mean, little leaguers don't even make those mistakes.
Have you seen the Mets? Have you watched the Mets? Honestly.
No, I'm watching the Yankees.
I'm just telling you, there's other teams that play a lot worse. The fundamentals.
How do you watch it? It's so frustrating.
Listen, it stinks. But at least you took 2 out of 3. The game you're talking about, they won.
Yeah, but they won at the end but they could have won earlier. I mean,
goodbye. Thank you for the phone call. So now we're going to bring it. They could have won earlier. Because baseball just had a rule. People don't realize that they award extra points if you win the game earlier in the contest.
I don't.
So I've got a team that stinks. I got a team that can't catch fly balls. I've got pitchers that can't fire strikes. I've got guys that can't run the bases. It's the Bad News Bears, Redux, with a major league team that's got the highest payroll in the history of sports, and I've got people, grown men, calling the show complaining the Yankees aren't winning early enough in games. Screw. Go scratch yourself. I'm tired of it. Big babies. Big, whiny, little crying babies. Spoiled brats. You just took 2 out of 3 from Texas. You're keeping afloat without the best player in baseball. I got a bunch of guys it's like they're humping a football instead of actually playing baseball. So I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear it. If they call, tell them thanks for the call. Go away. We didn't win early enough. My team's 7 games under 500. They couldn't find a house on the face of the sun.
Someone interrupt when he tells a lie. Just someone.
No, but Peter, you know how frustrating it is for me?
I'm waiting for the lie.
I watched the Yankees. Well, good for you. You watched the team take 2 out of 3. Oh, fundamental baseball. Watch that. Watch the 8th inning. And you tell me that was Major League Baseball.
That is the Pinstripe Report.
I hate every one of you.
Brought to you by Corona. Enjoy the finer life of sports. Corona, the official cerveza of Major League Baseball.
God, I knew this was going to happen, Peter, and what you got was about 20% of a meltdown I had in the meeting. I knew these people were going to come out of the woodwork and go, why aren't they bunting? Do you watch baseball? And here's a little hint, Peter. Here's a tiny little hint.
I want it.
It's just a baby hint.
Okay, baby.
It's about this big. It's tiny. It's a tiny little piece of advice I have for the callers. In the greatest city in the world, if you're going to complain about a guy not bunting, here's a hint. Who was it? You don't even know who it was. You're just complaining to hear yourself complain. You're complaining they didn't bunt. He couldn't remember who the guy who didn't bunt. Now I was watching the Met game and trying to bounce back and forth. My daughter had a recital. I'm trying to stay up on these things. You watched the game. You had it, like your face against the freaking television screen, and you can't remember who didn't bunt. And yet you call, you sit on hold for 20 minutes, and you don't know. And then you have the actual audacity to say, they didn't win early enough. Anthony, they didn't win the game early enough. You know how frustrating that is?
I don't even know how that works, by the way.
I was at the game. I had a great time. I enjoyed myself thoroughly.
Who was it? You don't even know because you didn't care. Because you know what? You walked out of the building skipping because they won the game.
Right.
I mean, these people are functional morons. And I'm tired of having to deal with it. 22 years I'm going to be at this radio station. Every day I walk into the studio is a miracle. That my head doesn't explode.
By the way, you use the word functional. You don't know that that's true.
Yeah, because we don't know if he dialed the phone. His nurse may have.
Hey, Don, I want you to do 2 things. Take a really deep breath, tell me your name, and then talk about cars.
Don LaGreca here for Ramsey Mott.
Hello?
What's up, man?
There we go.
How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
Guys, I don't understand this Rodgers thing. I just don't see it working. He's here for 1 year, take his $58 million, and run. He had the worst career he had the worst year of his career last year.
That was horrible.
He didn't throw for 300 yards once last year. was 1-3 against the AFC. He got beat by the Lions twice. It's not the guy doesn't want to put in what it takes to win anymore. It's not like Tom Brady coming to Tampa. Tom Brady does everything he can to win. This guy's not working out. He's not doing nothing. He's not doing nothing.
But how do you explain 2 years ago he won the MVP? So he just lost that desire last year?
Back-to-back MVPs.
That's 2 years ago. 2 years ago was a long way when you're 38, 39,
wait a minute.
40 years old.
He had an injured thumb.
One season ago, he won the MVP.
Right.
And then the year before that, he won the MVP.
Season, the season before.
Right, and the season before that. And the season before that. And here's my question. Where would the 37...
So what is he coming here, to win an MVP or win a Super Bowl?
See, now you're changing the argument.
Well, you can win the MVP and win a Super Bowl.
You can do both. Now, Vinny, tell me this. Where would the 3,700 yards, 26 touchdowns over 12 picks put him in best Jets quarterbacking seasons? His down year last year.
But he won 8 games with the Packers. The Jets won 7 games with Zach Wilson.
It would have been top 5 Jets quarterbacking seasons of all time.
Aaron Rodgers has those.
He still won 8 games last year. The Jets
is he playing with the Packers roster here or the Jets roster here?
Right. The Jets have a very good team that won 7 games in spite of their quarterback last year. If you put the exact same stats with Rodgers last year, don't talk over me. You don't win arguments by talking over me. You do not win arguments talking over me. You do not win arguments talking over me, okay? You lose them by listening. Because you're going to lose this one.
You listen to me.
No, I'm not going to listen to you because your comments are ignorant. He won back-to-back MVPs. If he threw for 3,700 yards and 27 touchdowns on the Jets last year, they win 11 games to make the playoffs. You won 7 games basically with no quarterback last year. What he did with the Packers last season is irrelevant because the Packers stunk and yet still almost made the postseason. You've got a great roster.
Let me make my argument now.
Go because you're really doing an awful job.
Just let me make my argument. The Jets won a once-in-a-lifetime miracle against Cleveland. Okay? They beat the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. Dolphins had their third-string quarterback.
Okay.
Every game they won was against the third stringer.
They also you also beat the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen.
And lost a game to the Patriots that you absolutely shouldn't have lost.
It was in spite of Zach Wilson, I know. Everything's in spite of Zach Wilson.
You know what? You just keep losing, man. You're having fun with it. You enjoy being miserable. No. You know what scares you? It scares you is having a relevant team. You love just sitting there watching the Jets lose every Sunday and go, boy, do I wish I'd have a chance at a Super Bowl. Boy, wouldn't it be fun if my team was any good? Because you love being miserable, you love being disappointed, and you love just having that dark space in your heart. Instead of actually bringing in an actual quarterback that can help you win games, because then your team's relevant. Then you have a chance to win, and you might get hurt. That's why, man. I could pick your brain apart, man. You need a psychologist.
Vinny, you want Zach Wilson as the quarterback?
I think he got done wrong last year.
All right, you know what? Goodbye, because you know what? I'm not having a conversation with someone that is that ignorant on the subject.
That was me. That was me who hit the drop button the second he said it.
I'm sorry. If you really did he got a bum rap? They gave him 2 opportunities. They benched him and then put him back in the game. He had some of the best receivers. Couldn't do anything with them. I'm telling you, I've got them figured out. They just love being miserable because you can't get hurt, Peter. When you sit in your troll home with a lawn chair instead of a couch, watching a TV on top of a broken TV, you can't be disappointed. You just go through life never being disappointed because your life is nothing. But now I'm giving you a gift of a chance. But you know what could happen with that chance? You might fail. You might fall. But you know what? At least you took a journey. At least you tried.
Now, Don.
Get off the lawn chair. Put the noodles down.
Yeah, but
and experience life.
Their collapse in the middle of last year happened when DJ LeMahieu got hurt, where he just couldn't hit anymore. That was a big factor. And then in the postseason, no LeMahieu, no Benintendi, and they tried to rush back Carpenter, who also got hurt. He was carrying the team. Now, they shouldn't be applauded for that because that was not their plan for Matt Carpenter to be the second best player after Judge. But Matt Carpenter was. Then he hurt his foot, and boom, he's out for 2.5 months. And then they try to rush him back without any kind of rehab. So I think they were better than a 500 team, and I think that's why they fooled themselves into thinking we don't have to make major changes. Let's go sign Rodon. DJ LeMahieu is going to be better. We like Rizzo. He's not going to. They couldn't foresee he's going to have a concussion. I think they thought they were going to be a lot better, but now I think they see the flaw in that.
This, just being honest, this does sound sort of like excuse making, though.
Well, I don't give a crap what it sounds like. I'm telling you the reasons why it's happening. If you people want to say they're making excuses, I don't care anymore. I'm telling you the truth here. If you think it's making excuses, good, go crap in a lake. Okay. I don't care.
What's the point of the truth? They got it wrong. They always get it wrong.
No, that's ridiculous. They always get it wrong.
That is, over the last few years, they've gotten it wrong.
Really? They went to the ALCS last year. They really got it so wrong. They won the American League East. They won the American League East, the toughest division in baseball. They won 99 games. They always get it wrong.
Wait, so you want fans to be happy that they got embarrassed by their arch rival?
I'm not telling fans what to do. You can feel whichever way you want. I'm just telling you, you can't say they got it wrong when they were one of the final 4 teams standing.
Wait, but I can't say they got it wrong if the best thing they could achieve in the last 3 years was getting swept by their arch rival. Well, that's getting it wrong.
That's your definition of wrong. Now, the Mets got it wrong this year, and the Yankees got it wrong this year.
The Mets punted. The Mets all out straight up said, we got it wrong. We're punting. The Yankees are refusing to do so when they should.
All Peter's doing, Michael, is just backing up the words that they said. What did Judge call last year? He called it a failure that they lost to the Astros.
I get it. I get it, but you can't say they always get it wrong like they're a bumbling organization that can't get out of its own way and doesn't make the postseason. That's stupid. You sound like a fan. To Greg in Ronkonkoma. What's up, Greg?
Hi, Michael.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Big fan, buddy.
Thanks.
Listen, I just looked up at my TV and I see this picture of Method Man in the background. I was going to talk to you about Harrison Bader's reception in St. Louis. I thought it was just unbelievable. But I got this Method Man in my background.
Okay. Well, that isn't. That was.
What's that got to do with sports radio?
Well, Method Man is that Don when he was singing?
It's in Peter's picture. You know, it just bothers me. You know,
well, you know what, Greg? Then you know what? It's a radio show. Listen on the radio. It doesn't matter if Peter has a clown behind him.
Why does it bother?
Yeah, I'm not listening on the radio.
Why? But Greg, help me out. Greg, help me out. Why does it bother you that Method?
You know his arrest record. I'm here for sports information.
Oh my
God!
A thug. Dude, Greg, shut your mouth. Shut your stupid, ignorant mouth. You know nothing. You know nothing about Method Man.
Nothing.
He's a thug. Shut your stupid, racist mouth, Greg. How about that? Shut up. No more for you, Greg.
He's a racist.
You're a racist, Greg. Anyone who would look at a picture of Method Man and be offended when you look up what he's contributed to the world and you want to call him a thug, you're a racist piece of garbage. Hang up on Greg. Goodbye, Greg. Shove it.
I'm amazed that the background behind Peter is upsetting Greg.
It's an old Hot 97 subway poster that he was offended by.
Why would that upset him? Again, what everybody always seems to forget, this is a radio show that's being simulcasted. If Peter chooses to do the show naked, then turn on the radio if the visual bothers you.
And by the way, I don't know what's going to happen later in the show.
Class is incredible, and Steve Pikiell's a major reason for that. And he's the head basketball coach at Rutgers, and he joins us here on the Michael K. Show. It's Don LaGreca, and I'm sure you're familiar with the work of Dan Grassa. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Hey, guys. I appreciate you having me on. And Dan, it's good to see you.
Coach, always a pleasure, my friend, and congratulations on the big score, of course, with Dylan Harper and that recruiting class. And you know this. I mean, you and I have talked many times. For somebody who grew up as a fan of the program, went to school there, to see the college basketball national recruiting rankings, Duke, Kentucky, and Rutgers all in the same sentence there, I'll tell you, myself and a lot of alums, a lot of pride in what you've been able to accomplish here.
Well, I tell you what, it really is. It's a credit to this it's a great university, and we're the 15th ranked public university in the country right now. So academically, there's no better place, and just great people here at the school, and we play in a terrific league, obviously, and selling out every game certainly helps in the recruiting process, and and I'm blessed to have great assistant coaches. But we get some talented players coming into the program, and like to think we have talented players right now in the program. So excited about this year and certainly excited about the future. But all the credit goes to a great university with some, great people that surround our program.
And I live in the neighborhood, Coach, so I know it's a great neighborhood. It's a great school. It's a great conference. There's a lot that you can sell when you're in somebody's living room recruiting an athlete. What are some of the other things that you sell them about Rutgers?
Well, I tell you, I have two kids currently that go. One is getting her master's at Rutgers, and she's going to finish up here in a couple weeks. And my son is a senior here. So not only do I try to get their kids to come here, my own kids who could have went to a lot of places come here. And there's great people here, and there's a great energy on this campus. We have tremendous leadership for the president. Pat Hobbs, our great athletic director. So you got great leadership. I always say to people, if it was a stock, you need to buy it now, because Rutgers is really doing unbelievable things in the academic world and sports. I mean, the job Coach Shiano's done, with our football program playing in the Pinstripe Bowl, and our wrestling program, sells out. Jersey Mike's Arena, our basketball teams, our soccer teams have been to Final Fours, our men's lacrosse team, Final Four last year. Just really some great times here at the university, and just blessed to be a part of it, and thankful that people come out and support us.
And if you want to go see Rutgers play basketball, Saturday might be one of your better opportunities if you are in the area, because Rutgers is going to be playing Mississippi State at the Prudential Center in Newark. So go to Ticketmaster to buy tickets for the Gotham Classic this weekend as Rutgers takes on Mississippi State at the Prue Center in Newark, because this is your last chance to buy tickets to catch Rutgers for tickets not on the secondary market, because all games are sold out at Jersey Mike's Arena this season. Go to SeatGeek, the official ticketing partner of Rutgers Athletics, to buy tickets for all remaining home games at Jersey Mike's Arena. I think it's a credit to you, Coach, the administration, the players, everybody involved with the program. And winning is also what helps this, but the home court advantage that you have cultivated at Jersey Mike's Arena. It is a place that opposing teams don't want to play. It's one of the best atmospheres in college basketball. That's also something that you could sell to recruits, because that is a home court advantage.
I mean, it's really become an unbelievable. The environment's fantastic, and our students really show up and make it a loud environment and a tough place to play. We got a lot to really brag about. We've graduated every player since I've been here. Every kid has graduated. A lot of them have gone on and got their master's degree. And then, Caleb McConnell's in the NBA. Ron Harper was with the Toronto Raptors. Cliff will be next on that list. He led the nation in dunks last year. I think he's second right now in block shots. And, we continue to graduate guys and produce great, pros and guys that go on and sign contracts to keep playing basketball. So there's a lot of advantages, coming here, and it's the biggest media market, right, as you guys know, in the country, and playing in this league challenges you. The Michigans, the Ohio States, the Purdue's, every night. So you see some great basketball. And I'm glad you mentioned the Prudential Center, because that is the last time, you could see us play. Jersey Mike's does not have a seat available. So hopefully our fans will get a chance, before Christmas to come out. Mississippi State is excellent. Really good basketball team, was ranked in the top 25 earlier in the year. They're 9-2 right now. So we need Rutgers Nation to show up in Newark.
Jermichael Davis has been such a great story for you. Tell us more about him.
First of all, great family, a worker. He's one of my old-fashioned kind of, he's in the gym all the time. He loves basketball. He's the current, leader in the country as freshman in assist to turnover ratio. So it's a great stat as a freshman to get a lot of assists and not turn the ball over, and to do that in his first year has been really just amazing. But blue collar, tough kid, plays with a little chip on his shoulder, fast as could be. So I'm blessed he and Gavin Griffiths, two freshmen that we have that, have really produced, at a high level for young players.
You mentioned Gavin Griffiths, Coach, and he was, before this class for 2024, he was your highest rated recruit. And he's done a nice job here trying to get acclimated to the college game and to the Big Ten. What about his progress so far here, making that transition from high school to now Big Ten basketball?
He's really done a really good job. He's learned a lot in his first, 10 games. He's improved his defense tremendously. He's instant offense for us right now, off the bench. He was starting earlier. Now we have Micheal Mag back, in the lineup, which we're very thankful for. But Gavin's going to be a fantastic player. And he's another guy. He's in the gym all the time, comes from a great family, and his best days are ahead of him.
What are some of the things you'd like to see your team improve on as you go down the stretch of the season here?
We've really been harping on a few things, like, health is a big part of it, and how they eat and how they sleep and all those kind of things plays a big role. I've been disappointed with our rebounding, quite honestly. It hasn't been up to our standards. It's been better lately. Obviously a guy like Micheal Mag, who's one of the better rebounders on our team, helps us now that he's healthy. We're getting another big guy back playing very shortly here, Emmanuel Ogbo, who's 7 feet. He's about 280 pounds. He'll help us too in that area. But, we've had to really focus on that. We've got a lot of new pieces too. So we're kind of figuring out, the rotation and those kind of things. But rebounding really has been a thing we've really harped on, and we got to do a better job of taking care of the backboards. And that'll go a long way, especially here in this Mississippi State game too.
Coach Steve Pikiell of Rutgers joining us here on 98.7 ESPN. And, you were nice enough to have me up there at practice and hang out in your office over the summer. And when we were talking about the team, you said you thought that you guys were going to be better this year with the incoming players that you had. And there's a tremendous amount of transition now in college sports from one year to the next with the transfer portal, everybody moving around here. And it's taken some time, but 11 games in, 10 games into the season, where do you think you guys are now in terms of incorporating all the new faces into playing how you would like to play?
Yeah, I think for everyone, it's a huge challenge. We're 7-3, and we had some games we didn't play as well as I would like. But I'm also learning that other teams are, really good too, and they're old. We played an Illinois team with a lot of, veteran guys, and we played a really good Princeton team to start the season, and I feel better 10 games later. If we played them now, I think, we would be in a lot better place too. So it's always when you play teams and who you play at the time. But we learned a lot of lessons from the different games. We've shored up. We were turning the ball over a lot. Now we're not. I think our defense is getting better in a lot of areas. I think our offense is also starting to kick in a little bit. So, it's always a journey with the seasons. I like the journey. Everyone thinks you can go undefeated. I think there's only a couple teams in the country that are undefeated, but there's a lot of teams like 7-3 and like we are have a chance to have a really good year and have a lot of season left to do that.
Steve, I'm born and raised in New Jersey, so I've got a lot of pride in this state, and there's so much talk about Pennsylvania basketball and what those schools have done in the state of Pennsylvania, and certainly New York. But you think of New Jersey, the way Seton Hall's playing now, St. Peter's runs a couple of years ago, what you guys have been able to accomplish. There's so much good basketball here in the state of New Jersey.
It really is a really good coaches, too. Fantastic. FDU makes a run last year in the tournament. St. Pete's the job that Shaw's doing at Seton Hall. And then you got great coaches at Monmouth and at Rider and obviously Princeton. They're good every year. They were Sweet 16 team last year. So you have a lot of really good coaches, a lot of really good rivalries. A lot of coaches come into our area and try to steal our recruits too. College basketball, very healthy in New Jersey. And I'm thankful that Rutgers is a big part of that.
And Seton Hall actually did you guys a favor last night, Coach. They had a great win, upsetting UConn at the Prudential Center, but you beat Seton Hall a couple of weeks ago, so that only looks better for your resume moving forward with Seton Hall getting a big win like that.
Yeah, congratulations. They played great, and I think, University of Connecticut's awesome. I went to school there, and the job Danny Hurley's done there is fantastic. And, but Shaw's team is good. They went to, Missouri and won. I never get caught up in wins and quadrants and all that. There's so many analytics now. There's 14 different analytics. I get dizzy reading about them all. And, you just got to win enough games and be NCAA worthy. And, we won every metric last year that you can imagine. They picked one out that people didn't love, but there were 13 other great ones. You got to be good enough to get in that tournament. And, all the rest of this is you don't know who's going to win or lose on a given night. You don't know how you're going to be on a given night. You're still dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old, kids. So you try to get them ready for all the obstacles ahead. And, you do the best that you can with them. And you're excited about the journey that the season usually takes you on.
Real quick, Coach, I was just going to ask you, you mentioned last season in the snub for the NCAA tournament, one of the teams that did get one of those first 4 spots in one of the final at-large, you're going to be playing on Saturday in Mississippi State. Is that a message you convey to your guys going into this game here on Saturday afternoon?
I mean, we don't talk really, to be honest, a lot about last year, different team, different, circumstances. But we did talk about Mississippi State being very good and being a lock for the NCAA tournament this year. So, they have some really good players, and he does a fantastic job, coaching. And so, it'll be a real challenging game at a neutral site, for us. We wanted to be challenged in the, non-conference, and this team looks exactly like, some of our teams in the Big Ten, big physical, athletic basketball team. So this will help us as we prepare for, league play.
Well, Steve, good luck the rest of the way, and we love having you. It's good to get to know you, and go RU.
Guys, I appreciate it. It's nice you have me on. Happy holidays.
Yeah,
you both.
You too.
Same to you, Coach.
And get out to the Rock. Check that game out, man, because you can't get to the Rock. You're not going to be able to see them. So,
Don, that's the truth. I mean, there ain't a seat to be had, believe me. And I'll be there Saturday. Looking forward to it here. So hopefully, get a nice win.
In the last several months that I was excited about it. And now it is finally coming out Friday, December 22nd, just in time for the holidays. The Iron Claw. It is a story. To say it's a story about pro wrestling, I think undersells it. It is a story about pro wrestling, but it's a story about America, relationships between fathers and sons, brothers, tragedy, triumph. It has a lot. And we're joined by 2 of the stars of the film. The man who plays Kerry Von Erich, Jeremy Allen White, and Hello. Kevin Von Erich, Zac Efron. How are you guys doing today?
Feeling good, man. Great.
I'll start with you, Zach. You have an interesting sort of challenge because you're playing Kevin Von Erich, and I obviously don't want to give away too much for people who haven't seen the film and don't know this story as well as a huge wrestling fan like me does. But Kevin is the one who is still around. He is the person who gets to tell this story. How much pressure did you feel playing the character who is here to see this entire film unfold?
There's definitely an added element of pressure, and I think just an extra level of care and effort that you put into a performance, especially when you know that the real guy's still around and he's going to be seeing the movie. I wanted to portray him accurately and, to the best of my abilities, be able to inhabit him. But there's definitely a fine line where you want to make the performance somewhat original and be able to have a good arc. And part of that is making it your own, so to speak. So it's a fine line, but I gave everything I had to portraying. A lot of it was the physicality, I think, for these characters.
And that's the physicality part I want to get into because that's crazy. One more thing I want to ask you about Kevin. One thing I loved about this film, and you can correct me if I'm speaking out of school here and you think I'm wrong, but I've never met Kevin, but from the stories I've heard throughout the years, obviously he lived a really interesting life. He went off to Hawaii and kind of found his own way, but he's always described as his own kind of cat. You know what I mean? He definitely seems unique. To me, from the outside, Kerry was sort of the cooler character, and Kevin was a little bit more offbeat. And then I thought, I wonder if that's the way it'll play in the movie because Kevin is the one alive to tell the story. And I thought you guys did a great job making it clear that even though he was one of these cool Von Erich boys, he was clearly riding his own wave from even the opening scene when he meets his wife for the first time. Was that part of the directive of playing Kevin, that he is sort of a unique kind of cat?
It was, man. We had a lot of fun with that, over the course of the movie. One of the things that Sean, our director, really loved about Kevin was his energy and his charisma sort of inside the ring, especially when we was with his brothers. It was on another level, but outside the ring and sort of in interviews and things like that, he wasn't good at that showmanship side of it. He wasn't as polished as the other guys. He didn't flow into it as easy. And I think that juxtaposition there made for like a very, very interesting, endearing, kind of cool character in Kevin. And he's such an awesome dude in real life, man. You see how he got away with it.
Yeah, and you can also see how his being unique sort of maybe helped his survival in some ways. Jeremy, let me just ask you off top. First of all, you played Carey, who's one of my all-time favorites, and it was such a cool, like just as a kid watching the Texas Tornado, always thought he was awesome. Did you have familiarity with Kerry Von Erich? What was your level of knowledge about the Von Erichs and pro wrestling in general?
Yeah, no, I mean, let's see. I was aware of pro wrestling, obviously, but I didn't grow up really watching very much of it. I had friends that were into it, and so I had like a pretty limited knowledge, but that was obviously like a different generation when I was coming up. The Von Erichs were around, before. So no, I wasn't familiar with the Von Erichs. But yeah, when I started talking to Sean Durkin, our director, about the movie, he might have even suggested that I watch this episode of Dark Side of the Ring that focused on the Von Erichs, maybe even prior to reading the script. So yeah. I became that was my introduction to the Von Erichs and the beginning of that kind of like research.
So like I'm just so curious from the outside. I know the story too well. You're someone, Jeremy, who like you don't know the story.
Yeah.
How did you react like hearing it? Because it's an unbelievable story. Like, were you immediately like, oh my God, this is a story I have to be a part of telling?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just the thing. You hear that story, you see the story for the first time, and you're kind of like, this can't be. It seems like folklore or fantasy or something like that. Like it doesn't seem like it could be true. And yeah, like even before reading the script, like I said, and just watching that episode of the show about them, I was immediately kind of taken with these men even before kind of the tragedy and that part of the story was told. I just thought they were so charismatic, so interesting, and from my like limited understanding of professional wrestling, I mean they really seemed to have been these like trailblazers in the sport, and are responsible, I think, for where the sport stands today in a big way.
Zach, how much work? I mean, just to be blunt, you guys are gigantic in the movie, Zach. I mean, Zach, you look like you're actually a Von Erich in it. Like that was the part that actually. When the first time I see Zach's character, Kevin Von Erich, you physically reminded me of Kerry when he got to WWE. Like you were that sort of jacked up you looked.
Oh, thanks, man.
How much work did you dudes put into doing this?
I mean, it was a lot of work. We, I personally started training 6-7 months out prior to even starting filming, and just to put on that size and to commit to that level of training. But that, I mean, right sort of out the gate, as soon as we started filming, we watched so much footage on the Von Erichs. We had every clip, every sort of fight that was available to us, and we were able to go through them kind of with a fine-tooth comb and really pick out different physicalities and things that these guys did that were so cool inside the ring. Like Jeremy was saying, they really did kind of revolutionize wrestling in that era and took it to a whole different level. So I was grateful for every moment we spent training. I think that informed a lot of the performance, and I was grateful that these guys had left so much behind for us to work on and to watch and to kind of perfect.
Anything surprising about the level of the pain of just running the ropes or taking a basic back bump? Like, I have to imagine that was...
It's crazy. That stuff is pain. Just that simple stuff. Like, I had no idea. The first time I stepped into the ring was in L.A. with Chavo, like maybe a month before we all went to Baton Rouge where we shot the film to start training. And yeah, I couldn't believe just how hard the mat was, how hard the ropes were. I mean, that's just like cable covered with like a little bit of padding. Even that simple stuff was like.
And the mat's not a mat. I mean, it's just plywood.
Yeah,
it's wood with something on top of it. It's nothing.
Yeah, it's really nothing. There's definitely a quick learning curve. To take bumps and to fall into that mat and hitting those ropes, all of those things were incredibly challenging, but really kind of rewarding when we got through it.
It's fun because when you're in it, like when we were filming those like longer takes of those scenes on the day, you don't feel. I mean, like your adrenaline is going. You're so excited to be there. We've been training for so long, so yeah, you don't feel it in the moment, but yeah, the next day you
definitely feel it the next day. We got a lot of bruises and scrapes. Also, another thing we did is we shot all the matches sort of from walkout to jumping in the ring to we'd shoot the whole match, and all the moves, 10, 15-minute long matches in their entirety without cutting. So we made it as real as possible.
I am the ultimate skeptic on seeing stuff like this, and I literally wanted to one day produce a story about them. That's how personal it was with me. I was so ready to hate on this film. I had everything juiced up, even the way the sportatorium looks. Sean did an amazing job. You guys did an amazing job. I'm told you have to go. I want to show you one thing on your way out that I think you'll get a kick out of.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to my number one thing that I collect is vintage T-shirts. So I thought you guys would appreciate this. Kerry Von Erich is #1 T-shirt from
my God.
Like the
that's
early,
unreal, man.
that's from the early 80s. This is a little bit later when he was more, he was getting to big time Dallas Kerry. And then of course, maybe my most prized when he made it to WWE eventually as the Texas Tornado.
Tornado, baby.
Dude, those are sick, man. Well done.
They cost a little bit. Guys, December 22nd, the film is out, The Iron Claw. Go see it with your family. You'll love it. Thank you guys for making time and congrats.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you, man. Nice talking to you.
Joining us right now in the studio is that same U.S. champion, Hall of Famer, the legend, Rey Mysterio. Rey, how are you, man?
Very good, guys. Thank you very much for having me here.
Well, first and foremost, your thoughts on being called out by young Logan Paul on such a big stage.
Well, it was shocking because I was watching the fight too, and to have seen the fight and then heard his call out right after it was shocking. But he needs to get the facts straight. He said he already beat me once. I don't recall when that happened.
Wow.
I know Miz beat me. It was Miz that pinned me.
Right.
I don't think it was Logan Paul. And if it wasn't for Miz, Dom and I would have had him pinned. And that was at WrestleMania last year.
A very different time in the life of everybody.
Yes. Yes.
But listen, I can't help but have this thought in my head. If you go back a year or so, Crown Jewel, Logan Paul got his big shot at a title with Roman Reigns. Could he be eyeing the same for Rey Mysterio at Crown Jewel this year?
Well, we will all find out, including myself, this Friday on SmackDown in San Antonio, because I'm going to be there. I told him I wasn't hard to find. You can find me every Friday night on SmackDown. So I think he's going to make a special trip and do it in person.
And of all the places that love you, Rey, I have to imagine you are over like Rover in San Antonio every single time.
It's just mi raza. That's it. I love it.
It's weird seeing him because it's my niece Abigail's favorite wrestler. So the only time I've ever seen you is the big fat head she would have in her room of you flying in the air. But Just how awesome! Like when you hear yourself get called out like that, does it get you mad? Does it get you like happy for the exposure? Does it get you fired up? Like what's the emotion when you hear Logan speak like?
And do you think in 2023 people were still going to be calling out Rey Mysterio?
Yeah.
So it does get me fired up. It gets me excited. I get that jittery feeling. 'Cause I love competition. I think that's when I work at my peak, when I'm under pressure. And there's no more pressure than to defend the title when you're champion. Because I'm not only champion for myself, I represent my people. All the Latinos, all the Hispanos around the world. The LWO represents all the Latinos and Hispanos around the world. So, I gotta put up a fight for them and me. And that fires me up.
Yo, can you believe that you're still doing it at this level, though, Ray? I mean, I was talking to a buddy of yours the other day, Hurricane Helms, and Hurricane he's a guy behind the scenes now, does a lot of great work within WWE as a producer, and he was talking about you guys having matches all the way back in WCW in the cruiserweight division back in the day. Yeah. He's obviously now moved on. He's in the producer role. You're still here, still looking like Rey Mysterio. Yeah. Does it ever surprise yourself? Like, did you think you'd still be going at this point?
Not really, especially with all the injuries I've had over the years, and the amount of surgeries that I've had just on my left knee. I really didn't think I would still be performing. Maybe a little, but not at the level that I am. But I attribute all of that to, myself understanding and taking care of my body the way it should to still be able to perform. And the benefits of stem cells, of the cold plunge, of the infrared sauna, of the red light therapy, you name it, massage.
You do it all, huh?
Yeah, I got to.
Wait, hold on. You named a few things there.
Yeah.
Okay. What did you mentioned? Cold plunge.
Cold plunge. Yes.
I know about that. How often are you doing a cold plunge?
I'm doing that every morning when I wake up.
In your house?
In my house. I have it right outside my room. I got the sliding door, so as soon as I open that bad boy up, as a matter of fact, I had to fly out. I got home Saturday after SmackDown, and I rested, saw the fight, and had to leave like at 6:30 a.m. to catch a flight to L.A. to go to the Rams game, and then fly to New York after that. But before I left my house, it was 5:30 in the morning, and my wife goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going in the cold plunge." "You're crazy." It was pretty cold in Vegas, so
wait, but it's first thing. Literally,
that's my.
Todd, do you know how cold it is to do that first thing in the morning?
A cold shower, forget about it. I can't imagine. That's to be up though.
It was hard at first, trying to convince myself, but once I pass that level of not thinking about it, then I'm good. And I had it at 45 degrees, and I finally moved it down to as low as it drops, which is 37. It's 37 degrees, but it obviously feels like 30. I don't know. It's really cold.
And how long do you stay in once you plunge?
I'm in there for 3 minutes.
3 minutes after?
3 minutes. So I'm in there for 3 minutes. I go all the way in up to the neck, and then after I hit that 3 minute mark, like the last 10 or 15 seconds, I go all the way in, head down all the way underwater for about 10 seconds, 15, and then I pop out. And I'm good to go.
They say, Don, it's not just great for you like physically, but like emotionally, it's supposed to be really good for you too. Yeah. Like literal happiness, because it gives you an endorphin rush.
Yes.
Now, okay, you mentioned the stem cells too. Mm-hmm. How does that work?
Stem cells, I do those. I've been doing them at least once a year, and those are injected directly into the joints, knees, shoulders, arms, ankles. The last treatment I did was last year in Tijuana. CPI stem cells, and I was having a hard time with my Achilles, both of them. They were really tight, so when I would wake up in the mornings, my first couple of steps, and my Achilles would be really bad.
Well, like you'd feel a burn right away.
So, yeah, and I remember talking to Scott, who's one of the owners. I was like, man, my Achilles are hurting, but I'm afraid to get the shots there because I know how bad that hurts. He goes, we'll just shoot it a little. So I think they put in $5 million on each side. And I kid you not, within 24 hours, I was good to go.
Wow.
Yeah. Does your son Dominic being involved drive you to stay in this longer?
I think it does. Mm-hmm. There's a sense of that pushes me to keep going. it's a big motivation factor, definitely. And I think now even more, witnessing his growth, and not from the locker room area, but from home, next to my wife, watching him on TV. And sometimes we'll look at each other and go, could you believe that's our son? Like, that's what we
And you guys are on different shows now.
That's what we created.
It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. It's cool to be able to sit back at home when you don't have, it's just a very chill vibe, family, and seeing how your son is evolving.
Now, aside from the terrible person he's proven himself to be on television with the Judgment Day, all that aside, you have to just be amazed at what he's become. I mean, did you think it would happen this quickly? He's in an awkward spot. He comes in, right? And he's your partner, and it's kind of just like, everybody cheer, it's Rey Mysterio's son, yay.
Yeah.
And that's cool, and that'll last for a little while.
Yep.
But then it's about, what are you going to do? Because you're not Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
You're Dominic Mysterio. Yeah. And he has found his own lane completely. Did you think he'd be this good?
No. I know he was struggling with him being by my side and people expecting to see a version of me within him. But it was very hard, you know. And a lot of people told him, people that trained him, Lance Storm being one of them, you could never try and fill your dad's shoes in because you're not him. You got to create your own path. And I would tell him a couple times, you know, Dom, you gotta pick up on this. You got to do this better. You got to pick up the speed here. And he would listen. I mean, he's been learning from the best. Cena, Roman, Seth, the Usos. Like, these are all guys that already passed and moved on, and he's been able to work and engage with them. So he's like a 3 or 4 year old, like a little sponge. He's absorbing everything all the information that he gets, and he's storing it down, and he's using it when necessary. But I honestly never thought, neither my wife, because we talk about it, we never thought that his growth would be this big at this stage. It's been a year since he's turned heel.
Yeah.
And he's been on his own. That's the best thing that could have happened to him.
Yeah, he's been. You got to watch this guy, Dom.
Best thing that could have happened.
It's phenomenal.
Well, Dirty Dominic.
That's Dirty Dominic, mullet and all. It's been amazing. Now, you were inducted into the Hall of Fame last year. It was a great moment, and one part of your speech that I thought was incredibly touching was when you talked about your wife supporting you while you were gone pursuing your dream. How amazing was it to get to share that story with the world? And what can you just say about this woman and how long she has been riding by your side? I mean, it's a pretty amazing story.
She's definitely the ride or die girl that is with you when it's good or when it's bad or when it's at worst. No, it's been like God put us together for a reason.
How old were you guys when you met?
I was 15 and she was 17. She took advantage of me.
Yeah, well, she might have been 3 inches taller than you, too.
Oh, she was. Yeah. And we clicked right away. We knew there was chemistry right away. It was a beautiful thing. But she I don't know why. Well, I should say I do know why. Because I've asked her, why did you believe in me? She goes, because I loved you. That's why. My love believed that you could do whatever you wanted to do. That's why. Imagine how hard it was for her telling her mom, I'm going to put my school aside so I can help my boyfriend pursue his career because I need to work and send the money.
Literally sending you money while you're in Mexico, right?
I would tell what are you, crazy? No, you're not leaving school.
Yeah, if your daughter did that now?
No.
Yeah.
No, so... like all those moments that happen just build up this beautiful relationship and foundation within both of us that's exactly what she would do. She put school aside. She was already 1 semester in, I believe. She was practicing medicine and she was already going to the university. And she put everything aside to help me out. But once I started, it's like she got caught up with work and everything just got so tangled, and I was traveling so much that we said one day we'll go back to it, and you can revisit. But our life just started to change. Mexico, then ECW, WCW, and then we get married, we start a family. And it just, our lives evolved so fast that she never got time to go back to put in the work for school. But here's the beautiful thing. Dominic following in my footsteps, and we're all witnessing his growth and living it. And my daughter is 22. Her passion is medicine. And she just started her classes with UCSD.
Wow.
And she's about 3 weeks in, and she wants to be a pediatrician.
Wow.
So it's like, wow, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, that is amazing. Both your kids following your parents.
Was Dominic your first?
Dominic was our first.
Yeah, so I had my kids at 49. You're going to be in your mid-40s, and God, you're having kids in your early 20s.
I was 20. I was 21 going on to 22.
So when you did the story with Dom and Eddie, you were like in your mid-20s, that's it? Late 20s?
So that was
05?
05. So I was...
30?
Yeah, 29, 30. Yep.
Oh, and because Dom was already like 7, 8 years old, right?
Yep.
By the way, Dom, I interviewed Dom a few months back. He blamed you for the blonde hair. He said that was you. He also said, I asked him, what was your first memory of traveling with your dad? And he said, my first memory is that we got on a plane and my dad flew first class and he made me sit and coach.
He is lying. What a beautiful thing, because when he started working for the company, he wasn't getting first class. You gotta work for that. You gotta earn it.
Yeah. I know. I don't get first class.
I said, how crazy is that, huh? When you were younger, they flew you first class with me. But now, you got to work for it, son. So,
you can't jump on the totem pole that quick.
No.
All right, so Friday night, we'll probably get a clear direction on SmackDown of what the future is for Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul.
Well, I know the future for Rey Mysterio is still United States champion. But I do want to hear what he has to say and what his proposition is. When does he want to do this? Because I'm always up for a challenge. And that's why you're the champion.
That's right.
You want to take newcomers. You want to take challenges. So besides Santos, who was my last opponent, this will be my second defense.
All right. Well, coming up in the next month and a half, we got Crown Jewel, we got Survivor Series. Yeah. There's a lot of things to happen. By the way, big shout out to Zelina Vega, who's and her family, LWO fam here in New York.
Yep.
Ray, you always have an open invitation to anything I do. We appreciate you coming by, man.
Thank you guys very much, man.
The legendary Rey Mysterio this Friday night on SmackDown. Him and Logan Paul. We'll see what's what. And guys.
So we always check in with the guy who knows the Jets better than anybody covers the Jets for us. That's Rich Cimini. Rich, how you doing, my friend?
Good afternoon, Michael. Thanks for having me on. Just got out of the locker room, so the timing works out nicely.
All right, so take us in the locker room. Are they upset that Michael Carter got cut? And he was just, by the way, claimed by the Cardinals.
Yeah. So Anthony just informed me that while I was on hold. But, players were surprised. And, just from talking to a few guys in the locker room, I think they were upset by it. Mekhi Becton saying that he was down in the dumps. And another player I talked to, I won't mention his name, just didn't feel it was right, and Saleh addressed it with the team briefly this morning in the team meeting. And, it was a surprise. Carter was not performing well, so that part of it I get, but he was kind of a around the team. Very popular guy in the locker room, great sense of humor. And so players were really taken aback.
So was it because of the penalties, and specifically the one that really cost them in the game the other night, or was it something else? Or was it what he said? Hey, he's not going to play, so let's go send him someplace where he's got a chance to play.
Yeah, so a few different layers there, Don. Let's peel it back a little bit. Number one, I think they just Izzy Abonaconda on the field. The rookie from Pitt, local kid at a Lincoln High. He's really fast. This offense is so dormant right now.
just looking for any spark. They believe he can bring it to them. And Carter had not been playing well. As I said, he just generating much offense at all as a third down back. He wasn't, frankly, a good third down back. I think he was miscast in that role. He didn't catch the ball particularly well, which is kind of an important thing when you're a third down back. And he did have that penalty the other night. Actually, I thought it was a bad call on the illegal chop block. But he was benched after that. He did not go back in the game. So evidently something happened. I don't know if he said something on the sideline with he did have an argument with his running back coach earlier in the year on the sideline, a heated conversation. So I think it was a combination of things, and it was very well known around the building, that Michael Carter was not happy with his playing time and his role. He's been passed over a few times the last few years. Remember the James Robinson trade last year, which turned out to be a bust? And then this year, them bringing Dalvin Cook in was kind of a slap in the face to Michael Carter. So I think it was pretty generally known that he wasn't happy with his role.
Is there anything else going on, Rich, in that running backs room? Because, I mean, Brees has obviously been effective, but it seems like we get very little of Dalvin Cook. Carter's been a big disappointment. This was a group we expected to be a strength. What's going on there?
Yeah, well, Brees Hall's having a good year, although the last couple of weeks, there has not been a lot of production from Brees Hall in the running game. He's done some things in the passing game. Running game's kind of slowed down to pretty much a halt. But, the other night I thought Dalvin Cook had a couple of really good rushes. Yeah. He looked as fresh as he has all year. Looked like the old Dalvin Cook from some Minnesota stuff. And then he'd only got the ball three times. And
that's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, well, we are too. I mean, it didn't seem. Look, there were a lot of confusing things about that. I mean, having Garrett Wilson throw a pass after he just injured his elbow on his throwing arm didn't seem like a smart thing to do either. And he showed up on the injury report today with an elbow injury. And they should have gone to Cook more in the game. I thought, you want to go with the hot hand. And frankly, I thought he was running the ball better than Brees Hall in the game.
All right, so we were talking about this earlier. Robert Saleh says that when Aaron Rodgers is good to go, he's going to go. He's going to play. And Don brings up the point, I don't think he's going to play if the games don't mean anything. I think that this is a cause celeb for Aaron Rodgers, and he is getting on that field if he can, even if the Jets are 3-10, or 5-10, 5-11, whatever that he's playing. What's your take?
Well, he definitely has made this a cause celeb. I mean, he's on his platform every Tuesday, trumpeting to the world that he's coming back. So, yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount of competitive ego and arrogance in this by Rodgers to prove that he can do this. And what Saleh said today, I get it. He has to say that. He doesn't want to piss off Aaron Rodgers, because, I mean, they don't want Rodgers to walk away after the season and retire. They want him back for next year. So they want to keep that relationship as strong as possible. But I think if it comes down to that decision, I think the Jets will, especially if they're out of it, I think they're going to sit down and try to present their case to why he should not play this year. I think the rumblings I've heard around here are that they would not play, especially if they're not in it. But, final decision, however, that doesn't mean that they won't try Bobby and present their side of the case before he makes that final decision.
And you could still split the difference, right? You could treat it like a preseason game. He comes back, plays the first couple of series in a meaningless game, proves that he can play, but does the discretion a better part of valor comes out of a game that doesn't matter. Like, that could happen, too, and they can make that work.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, he's going to have to practice for a couple of weeks. And, they're going to have a 3-week window with which to, have him practice before they activate him. And so he wants to come back in mid-December. So that means he's got to start practicing real soon. I mean, like right after Thanksgiving to start practicing. And he's not even running yet based on what he's been saying publicly. He's going to be back here at the facility next week on a full-time basis. That's what he said. And so he would have to be practicing pretty quickly after that. But how can you practice if you can't run? So I just wonder about his timetable. Maybe it's a little too ambitious, but, he knows better than anyone. But, yeah, Don, I think he'll practice at some point. But to put him in a game Maybe there's a scenario like you laid out, Don, which is actually makes a lot of sense, just to put him in and prove a point that he could get back. But there's a lot of risk involved. I mean, there's $40 million in guarantee next year that you could be jeopardizing if he re-injures it and can't play next year.
All right, so you look at what's going on with Zach Wilson, and, well, we've been on this train. Why was he the backup quarterback? We're not going to relitigate that. And I don't think coming off last week he should be benched. But let's say he starts this week and he's just dreadful in the first half. Will they ever go to another quarterback, or are they just locked into this guy and they have a point to prove?
Well, I agree with you, Michael. I don't think this was the week to bench him because I think he did some positive things in the game the other night, the last interception notwithstanding. But, it would have to be, I think, he'd have to be sabotaging their offense. And by that, I mean, like, committing, like, bad interceptions and things of that nature for them to pull him out of the game. I just think they do not want to have to do that. And benching him now, I mean, they have they're going to have in like a 5 to 6 day span because they got the Black Friday game. So I don't really see him getting benched after the Buffalo game because then you're going to start a new quarterback on a short week to face the first place team. I don't see. But if he doesn't get better in the next 2 games, then they'll have that mini bye week before the next game, which I think is Atlanta. That would be the place to do it. But like I said, it would have to get extremely bad for them to play the game. And I think he gives them the best chance to win. I know Jets fans are driving off the right now when they're hearing that. But, what has Tim Boyle ever done, in the league? He's 0-3 as a starter. I mean, that's change for the sake of change, and I don't think that's a healthy thing to do.
See, that's where I was going to go. The conspiracy theory is somebody is forcing Saleh to play Wilson. But the better question is, why are there no better alternatives? I understand that Aaron Rodgers got hurt. He got hurt in week 1. We've had months here. They went and signed Trevor Siemian. Why? To just not dress and be a part of the practice squad? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense why they weren't aggressive. Never mind getting a veteran backup to be ahead of Wilson at the start of the season. Why didn't they find a better alternative over the last couple of months?
Well, how many teams have a good third-string quarterback? I mean, it's really hard to. I mean, a lot of teams don't even have.
No, but you went and signed Trevor. Was Trevor Siemian the best available quarterback to go sign that you didn't even dress? Like, there wasn't anybody that could leapfrog over Boyle and be an alternative here as we head into Week 11?
Well, I mean, everyone's talking about Josh Dobbs now. What he's done.
How about Carson Wentz or anybody that would at least be a pulse? I don't understand how you sign somebody that couldn't leapfrog over Boyle, unless they're just married to Boyle because he knows the system from Green Bay.
Yeah, well, that's part of it, too. Don, I think the mistake was made back in February and March when they decided to make Zach Wilson their number 2 quarterback. I think that's when they should have got a Jacoby Brissett or Gardner Minshew and said either cut bait with Zach Wilson or give him the 3rd quarterback and say, hey, this is going to be a redshirt year, especially when they went out and got Aaron Rodgers, a 40-year-old guy who there's a chance he might break down. So that's where the mistake by Joe Douglas. And it's really hard to correct that mistake once the season gets started. And they committed to him even after seeing 2 years of substandard quarterback play. They still committed to him as their backup. And the worst case scenario came true on the 4th play of the season. And now they have to live with this guy. Could they have been more aggressive? Carson Wentz's agent did call the Jets. He said, hey, you want to sign my guy? And the Jets said no. So the Josh Dobbs thing, Josh Dobbs does over a sustained period of time. He's had a couple of really good weeks here with Minnesota, but I want to see how that plays out.
Now, Rich, before I let you go, from what it sounds like to my ear, somebody is continuing to try to call you. And I keep hearing that clicking. So if somebody, God forbid, is not dead, that person that keeps calling you should get punched right in the throat by you the next time you see them.
Or the forehead.
I didn't even look at my phone. I was so clued into our conversation here, but I did hear the phone ring. But I want to give you guys my undivided attention.
No, you've had a great job.
You're a professional.
You're a total pro. It's this person that keeps calling in. Maybe they know you're on the air. Maybe they're trying to be cute. Punch that person in the throat, Rich. I'm just saying.
Do it.
Okay, I'm sorry about that if it's annoying.
No. That person owes the apology, not you.
I'm shocked that I did not hear.
Oh, easily. Yeah,
I've got the ears of a hawk.
That's not true.
I heard it.
Yeah.
Anthony didn't hear it either. Wow.
Well, I will talk to you soon. I'll be there on Black Friday, so maybe I'll say hello if I see you.
Well, that could be a big game. I mean, believe it or if the Bills lose this week, I mean, if the Jets beat the Bills and Miami loses to Vegas, the Jets and Dolphins are playing for first place.
Amazing.
As crazy as that sounds, it's crazy, and that would be a fun situation. But the Jets have to score a touchdown.
Touchdown! I've heard of those.
That helps. Yeah. Thanks, Rich.
That might help. All right, guys. See you soon.
Be
Take
good.
care.
Rich Cimini covers the Jets, has been doing it over 30 years, and does it for us, does it very, very well. 5 days. We're in the middle of a 5-day tournament, actually. It's the A1 Paddle U.S. Grand Master Tournament, and it's at the iconic Woolman Rink at Central Park. You can actually see it on the Yes app as it's going on. So this is now day 2. Tomorrow will be... the day session begins at 10:30 a.m. Night session begins at 3:30 Thursday, and then Friday is the quarterfinals, and it'll all be on the Yes app. And we thought, let's get a real sense of what A1 Paddle is, and we bring in Fabrice Pastor, who is the founder and president of A1 Paddle. And Fabrice, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor.
All right, tell me exactly, Fabrice, what is paddle? Hello? Do you hear me?
Yes, I do.
What is paddle, Fabrice?
So paddle sports that you play doubles, and you play inside who has glass walls and fence to make it be more difficult. And it's exactly the same rules as tennis. The ball is a little less inflated than tennis balls, so have a little less pressure. And the racket is, let's say, 70% of a tennis racket.
Okay.
And we say that tennis is like checkers and paddle is like chess because so many different options and angles. Very, very fun game to learn from the beginning and very difficult to play professionally.
All right, so A1 Paddle, International Paddle Tour, founded in 2020 by you. And the tour operated more than 50 tournaments around the globe, including in Spain, Monaco, Portugal, Brazil, Mexico. What is the goal with the New York tournament, Fabrice?
Well, first of all, it's the historical tournament because for the sport, we are the first coming to New York, thanks to Randy Levine. And for me, imagine, it's a dream come true. It's like when the ATP of tennis created the first U.S. Open. So we're doing exactly the same thing, and we're storming the world. I mean, we are already in 19 countries, and next year we go to 28 different countries.
All right, what's the tournament format?
It's a Grandmaster. So it's one of the 6 most important in the world. You have another one in Bahrain, who the Prince of Bahrain bought. And the 4 next, we have to decide where they're going to be held. So New York has been the first. So again, historical moment for the sport and for everyone in A1 Paddle.
You mentioned Randy Levine. The Yankees have engaged in a strategic partnership with A1 Paddle. So where exactly do you want this to go? Is it going to expand in the United States? Are the players that are playing right now in Central Park, are they Americans or are they from all around the globe?
So you have one American that's going to play the fourth session here today. And I think it's going to be very important because it's the new hero of paddle. He's a professional player of 19 years old from Florida. So very, very important for us and for the paddle. And obviously, all of this wouldn't happen without Randy Levine. I mean, for me, he's an icon, and I admire him so much. And I think I'm going to be thankful all my life, me, and I hope paddle, the sport himself, to bring to New York this fantastic sport of us. And we're going to, of course, we're going to go all over the United States. I think in 3 years, we would be everywhere in the nation.
All right, so you have 2 more sessions tomorrow. Again, 10:30 in the morning and then 3:30 in the afternoon. Thursday again, and then Friday the quarterfinals. All-day sessions begin at 1 p.m. It's exciting, Fabrice. It sounds like it could be a blast, and it'll this is the first step in this country. So I wish you the best of luck with this.
Thank you, and it's free for everybody to come in and have a look at it. There's a beautiful village for shopping and food, but also to watch the sport and discover it. And Sunday we will be the final will be broadcast by ESPN, so that's also a huge thing for us.
Awesome, Fabrice. So nice to meet you over the phone, and good luck with this. It sounds great.
Same. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll come to watch a game with us. That would be lovely.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for the invite. All right, so that is Fabrice Pastor. He is the founder and president of A1 Paddle, and it's going on right now at the Wallman Rink in Central Park, and just a different look at something different that's going on. And the final is on Sunday. Semifinals are on Saturday, and you can see it on the Yes app. And if you like this stuff, they go out and see and enjoy it.
The Michael K. Show, 98.7 ESPN and Yes. And while Michael is finishing up his duties with the Yankees-Nationals game, by the way, Giancarlo Stanton has put one in the bullpen. It's 5-4 Nationals. We'll get Michael in a while. But listen, you leave me at the helm, you know what I'm going to do. Bring on someone amazing, like the 16-time world champion, the 2-time Hall of Famer, maybe the greatest to ever lace up a pair of boots. Proud to call him a friend, the nature boy, Ric Flair. Rick, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you, Peter?
I am doing well. I was obviously super bummed to hear the news about Terry Funk yesterday, and much like you, I just feel he's someone who deserves his time. He's the kind of guy who could get overlooked by the mainstream, but man, Rick, he's one of the absolute greatest to ever do it, and I just wanted to give you a moment to share some of your thoughts on the late, great Terry Funk.
Well, everybody got mad. Not mad at me, but I shouldn't say that. Nobody got mad, but people. I pointed it out last night to ESPN with a tweet saying that, it just, to me, it's like a lack of respect. I wasn't singling out football players or baseball players or whatever, but it just, they always are, not always, but it seems like you always just want to talk about the negative things. Does that make sense? I mean, it's negative.
Yeah, and then when you lose someone like who's a legend like this, I understood your point. You're like, hey, let's take a minute to celebrate someone.
Yeah, in our world, it's he's Mickey Mantle. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was that spectacular. I played. Did you see the video I played today?
Yeah. Which one? When you posted the Forever one?
No, it had a combination of stuff, but it's all like our I Quit matches, and we had some classics, man. But we went to war. I used to hit him to damn. He hit me back. It was a war. It was real. And then he wasn't the blade. Neither was I.
Which one stands out the most? Is Wrestle War '89 what you think of the most? Like, what is your main memory when you think of you and Terry Funk?
It's a tie between Wrestle War and the I Quit match. I don't know. They both were damn good. I look back at them now and I go, nobody was doing moonsaults. But man, it was a war. We were slugging it out, and he enjoyed it too. I mean, I get people now would say, "God damn, you guys are stiff." But
and also, can you tell me this? If people don't know, the spot that you guys did back in '89, where he pile drives you through a table, that was not a thing. Break. And the table didn't break. Yeah, it wasn't through. You're right. I apologize.
Peter, I was there. He almost broke my neck.
So did you?
I said, "What are you going to do? What's the physical? They call it physicality?" I said, "What are you going to do with me?" He said, "Just trust me." So he threw me out on the floor. He went over and cleaned off the table. I said, "Oh God, here we go again." And he threw me up with a ball. He said, "Just hang on, I got you." I go, "That's the movie communicated." And boom, he dropped on his ass. and the table did not break. He almost broke my neck, and I shed you. It was, oh my God, I couldn't turn my head for a week.
Now, can you tell me just quickly? Like, I never got to know the man.
No, tell me, Peter. Terry Funk was hardcore before there was hardcore.
Oh, I know. I mean, someone called up yesterday and asked me, where he stands in terms of the most hardcore. I said, well, he's the king of it. I mean, there is no Mick Foley, as Mick would tell you any moment he gets. There is no Mick Foley without Terry Funk. There's no Sabu. There's none of these guys could have existed without Terry Funk.
Yeah, and the thing that people have forgot is when that character in '89 was completely different. Was completely different than the Terry Funk that was the world champion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Terry Funk, the world champion, just wore regular tights, didn't wear the long boots. It's like he had two different careers, and that's what I learned how to chop. Because I was watching Terry Funk work one night, and somebody had his arm right, and he started chopping the guy with his right hand with his left hand. And I said, "Damn, that looks pretty cool." And that's basically where I learned that from Terry. I mean, there was so much to learn. He could make you laugh. I don't know if you watch a video today. That one time I snuck pretty hard, and he turns around in a circle and walks right back into another one. I looked at him. He cracked me up in the ring. He could just walk over and fall through.
And Rick, was he as lovely a guy as he seemed to be? Because I didn't know him. I only saw Beyond the Mat, and he just seemed like the most lovely man.
Oh my God, the best. We had more fun. I mean, traveling up and down the road with him. I'll give you a classic story, and he won't mind me telling it. So I lived in Charlotte at the time. He's the world champion. Greg Valentine and I are the world tag team champions. And Jimmy Crockett's the promoter, right? So we bought a bottle of Everclear, and one was Australian beer, Foster's Lager beer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were chugging both, right? And Valentine had that long hair. Lit his hair on fire every time. And you get it out, we drive another 5 miles, and he'd light his hair on fire. And by the time we got to Charlotte, we had stopped at a stoplight. Right? It's late at night, no cars or anything. Maybe a few. He gets out of the car, takes off all his clothes, and puts on the world belt. And he stood out in the middle of the road like he was directing traffic. There wasn't traffic. Like Valentine to turn left. So I took him back to my house with me, and my wife was Dawn, Leslie, and so I had a pit bull, a half bull mastiff that was really really good with the family, but he wasn't good with strange people he didn't know.
Right, no strange men, sure.
Yeah, he jumps over the privacy fence and he bites Terry in the nose. So Terry goes into my house, takes and he's got his clothes off, right? He puts a knife in his teeth like he's a pirate, right? And he's crawling around in the backyard with trying to get that dog. And my wife walks in the door with her girlfriend, and I'm passed out on the kitchen floor from that Everclear will kill you, right? And she goes, oh my God. This is my, I put the babysitter with Megan in her bedroom. Megan was not alone. And that's my husband, unfortunately. And that's the world champion, Terry Funk.
Crawling around in the backyard with a knife in his mouth.
Yeah. So she took all my clothes, threw them out in the front yard. So me and Terry picked up my clothes, threw them in the trunk of my Eldorado, and I don't even remember driving to the downtowner. I woke up in the morning, And this is the way the world champion traveled. I mean, this is an average day for even like me in the old days. Maybe I thought it was even worse. But I woke up in the morning. I didn't know where I was. I couldn't remember any of it. And Funk got on a plane to another town.
Wow. I mean, listen, there are a lot of things in that story that are surprising. You getting your clothes getting thrown on the lawn by a woman, not surprising. Terry Funk on all fours with the knife in his mouth, though, that is something.
Hey, that wasn't the first time.
I know, nor was it the last. Hey, Nate.
They make me laugh. These are the kind of things that Terry, I just loved riding with him. I bet I asked him 5 times a day, "You think I'll be a world champion? You think I'll be a world champion?" I mean, I drove him nuts. He said, "Yeah, it'll be your time, kid. It'll be your time, kid." He's talking to me like, he's only 5 years older than me.
Yeah,
So,
79 years old when we lost him. Rick, thank you. I just wanted to pop you on for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'll be 75, man, in February. So, yeah, I don't think about that having to lose one, right?
Rick, you gotta have a something. I hope you do a something, and I want an invitation to a 75th birthday party for the Nature Boy.
Oh, I'm gonna have it. You get it. I'm throwing my own.
Please.
If I make it to 70, I'm throwing my own party.
Nate, you got to do it. We celebrate you every day. Thanks for jumping on with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Much respect to you, sir. Okay.
Always, Rick. Take care. All right, there he is, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. And listen, I know there's some people, I'm going to be real with you guys. I know there's some people who are very confused. They went, why did we just hear a story about a man crawling on all fours in the backyard with a knife in his teeth? And I understand you didn't get it. But I'm going to explain to you that, trust me, when it's all said and done, getting to get stories like that from someone like Ric Flair, to talk about someone like Terry Funk, is a cultural moment that must happen. And I'm proud to be the conduit of that moment.
Hey, Dan.
It's Tuesday.
What does Tuesday mean, Dan?
The day after Monday.
And what's the day after Monday, Dan?
It's Tuesday, I just said. This is like an Abbott and Costello routine. Who's on first? What's Tuesday?
What's after Monday? I don't know. Wednesday.
Monday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday.
Oh,
How are you? It's good to see you. Hey, Don's here. Don came to work today.
And we're gonna talk to my brother Dave. He's in the studio listening, and he's going to be joining us at 3:30. The great Dave LaGreca. Got his hot sauce here. He's going to be talking about his tour that he's going to be starting in February. So we'll get into all that.
Busier than Tommy DeVito.
That's right. Very busy.
Yeah.
And also we'll do signings for much cheaper than the $20,000.
Allegedly.
But Tuesday is McAfee Day. It's Aaron Rodgers McAfee Day. Aaron Rodgers McAfee Day. Yay, yay, yay. Aaron Rodgers spoke. We now have clarity. You know what clarity is?
You mean the worst kept secret in the world?
That's right.
Which is? Fill the people in case they didn't hear it.
This is Aaron Rodgers on McAfee saying, not realistic to think I'd be 100% at this point.
I think the whole time it's been hoping that we're still in it, because it was unrealistic to think that I would be 100% to be medically cleared at any point during the regular season. I do feel like, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, it would be very possible to get to 100%, but obviously not there. And so the conversation was away from 100% medical clearance to a willingness to play, and that's never been a problem for me. If I was 100% today, I'd be definitely pushing to play, but the fact is I'm not. I've been working hard to get closer to that, but I'm still 14 weeks tomorrow from my surgery, and being medically cleared as 100% healed is just not realistic at 14 weeks.
Now you might be wondering, well, that's of course what he's going to say. They were mathematically eliminated from postseason contention when they lost to Miami. It was a pipe dream to begin with, Dan, but they are officially eliminated. So as far as the standings are concerned, those 3 games do not have any meaning. But he said he might not have played even if the Jets had won on Sunday.
We're in the hypothetical world. If we win Sunday, then I need to go through a week of 11-on-11 practice, taking team reps, seeing how I respond to that, seeing how much I can move in the pocket, seeing can I get out of the pocket. So there still would have been a conversation. It would have just been, it wouldn't have been, hey, we won, you're activated, you're for sure playing. Now, obviously, being a competitor, I would have pushed it as hard as I could this week. But it still would have been a conversation. I would have had to, check all the boxes, practice well, respond well the next day after some of these those 11-on-11 sessions, and then the conversation between Woody and Joe and Robert and Dave and the medical staff and Neil Elatrosh and myself to determine whether or not they were going to ultimately clear me.
Now, we're in the midst of the Aaron Rodgers report on 98.7 ESPN, driven by Ramsey Mazda. You said it was the worst-kept secret, but we tried to ask Robert Saleh, and he wouldn't commit to anything until he said, I find out that he's cleared to play. But it just seemed kind of odd to me that Robert was just so evasive when we asked him the questions. Is it possible, Dan, that Rodgers didn't say anything because he knows he's got an exclusive with McAfee? He's getting paid $1 million a season to be on it, so no one was going to know until he stepped into that studio today on ESPN and told via Zoom with McAfee that he's not ready to go.
Yeah, he probably didn't want to speak on behalf of his player. You know, the guy who's a Hall of Famer, 4-time MVP and everything. But look, everybody knows that the equation changed considerably once Sunday's game went final and they were mathematically eliminated. Now, you could have thought that they had a good shot, not so good of a shot, whatever, but now there's no way they're making the playoffs. And as you and I talked about yesterday, it would make zero sense for him to risk anything and him coming back to play 3 what essentially amounts to meaningless football games this year.
So what happens tomorrow? I mean, they're not going to, I guess they just won't
Robert's going to do his
him?
press conference. Well, but what's the difference? Right? I mean, if they activate him, that's great. So he gets to be somebody that they can say is out, or he stands on the sidelines as the emergency quarterback or something. I don't know.
But the one thing I want to say is that there was a lot of assumptions being made that he was going to demand to play because he wants to show everybody that his science was better than everybody else's, that he wanted to prove to everybody that he can come back from an Achilles when everybody else has to sit for a year, that he was going to be able to come back in 3 months. And I said, not to hang on the rim, but I said, I think he's smart, just like he's not dumb enough to think to go out there and play in a meaningless football game if he's not 100%. So I'm not surprised by it, but there were a lot of people who just thought he was going to force his way onto the field to prove everybody wrong. This clearly is not the case. He's not going to do that because he realizes he's not 100%, and it'd be ridiculous for him to go up against the Commanders, even more ridiculous to go up against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland, one of the best defenses of football, or play against the Bill Belichick defense. The Patriots are a bad team, but not a bad defense. Why would you do that? It's silly. So there were a lot of people that just assumed that he was enough of a nozzle to do that. He proved that that's not the case.
But he could take a victory lap now, whether it's in the offseason, and say, see, I made it back to practice. I was practicing. And look, give him credit, for everything that he did up until this point, 3 months removed from surgery, and he's out on the practice field, and it even became a discussion whether or not he was going to play some football games to close out the season here. But it didn't happen, and I'm sorry, I think that the performance of the football team changed things considerably because, look, let's say, Don, the Jets are, they have 3 more wins. So what would it be, 8-6 after 14 games. Playoffs a possibility. If this season is going to go 3 more weeks of the regular season, then maybe an extra week for the playoffs, you're talking about another month. Once the playoffs rolled around, How do we know how he's going to feel a month from now? And then we might be having a discussion about, he could come back and play football.
But I thought Rick DiPietro said it best this morning, from a professional athlete standpoint, is that the only time you play a game when you're not 100% is if it is a situation where the game has meaning, that you need that game. Because the math is 70% of Rodgers is better than anybody else the Jets can offer up at quarterback. So, yeah, that's when you play because you want to help your team win. But if your team is mathematically eliminated and you're not 100%, and oh, by the way, you just turned 40?
Right.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. So, good on him. It's the right decision. Now, how involved were the Jets in the decision? If you're a Jet fan, Dan, you would probably hope that Joe Douglas or Robert Saleh said, no, you're not playing.
Well,
because it would show that the Jets have power. I don't know if the Jets have any power. I just think it's Aaron Rodgers realized that this is the right thing to do. I don't think the Jets told him. I think one of the reasons that Robert Saleh was a little standoffish when we asked him the question is because I think everybody in that room knew that if Rodgers announced today that I'm playing, he'd be playing.
Well, don't you think tomorrow then is going to tell us a little bit more, like if he's indeed clear? Because if he's cleared, then that would be more on him wanting to be cleared and be active or at least eligible.
So what's the what is he just said he's not 100%, and he's not going to play at less than 100% of the games.
Well, that's why I asked the coach yesterday.
So there's 2 games left after the Washington game.
Right.
So if you wanted to activate him tomorrow, and for people that don't know, that's the point of no return. If he's not active tomorrow, then he's done. If he's activated, he could be eligible to play. Obviously, he won't play against Washington, but he'd be eligible to play. And then it would be, well, let's leave him. Maybe he'll play against Cleveland or New England. But what's the logic over the next 2 weeks he's going to all of a sudden become 100%?
None.
The games are still going to be meaningless.
None.
You got a short turnaround on that Thursday to play a Cleveland Browns team that's going to pin their ears back and go for it because they've got a chance to make the playoffs. And then a New England team that could be Bill Belichick's last game as the Patriots head coach, and it's a really good defense. It doesn't make it. I would think he's probably going to be inactive because you don't want to play short a player either.
You would think so. And like the Dwayne Brown example, and I even brought that up to the coach yesterday. The difference with Dwayne Brown is he's an offensive lineman to where you have a lot of offensive linemen. Now, the Jets have gone through a lot of them this year, but having him on the roster to where he could go in and block for, let's say, a field goal or go in there as, an eligible receiver like he's done on occasion here as an extra blocker, that's different than playing quarterback, right, to where you're the guy and going out there and having to play each and every down. So the responsibilities are a little bit different because Dwayne Brown's not 100%. Because if he was 100%, right, he'd be out there starting, given what we saw on Sunday and in the last couple of weeks on that offensive line. Now, there is one cut, though, that is kind of pretty interesting to Jet fans, or would be, and I think we're both in the same page, right?
Yeah, and it's the next cut that I was saving here, and that is next year your last.
Oh, there's another one, too, but go ahead. That's important. I was thinking of another one.
I don't think so. I felt like when I came here that I got kind of a renewed passion and love for the game, and everything has been amazing here. Just the people I've gotten to work with, the relationships I've gotten to form with my teammates, and the amazing men and women that work here at One Just Drive has been really special. I wanted, at least 2 years. I feel like this year is kind of a lost year now that I only played a couple snaps and wasn't able to go out there and prove what I'm capable of and see what we're capable of as a team. I don't think next year will be my last year. With some of the things that I've learned over the last year, taking care of my body and surrounding myself with some great people who've been helping me with my nutrition and my functional training at a more acute level, I feel like I can play more years and I can be effective into my 40s, which is crazy because I thought that I'd probably be sitting on a couch somewhere at 40, but now I want to be a starter at 40. I want to be a starter at 41. I want to see what I can get out of this body.
So I thought that was important just because of the fact that it might not just be a one-and-done situation where you might get a couple of kicks at the can, which I thought was possible, Dan, because I thought he was going to give you 2 years. And by not giving you 2023, his body didn't have to take the pounding. He's going to be physically ready to play in 2024, which could now add a year and have 2025 be the year. So I think that's good news. I'm not surprised by it. But I think it makes the Jet fan feel good that it's not going to be one and done. You might get a couple of shots here. And what I mentioned yesterday can hold true, that 2023 was a dress rehearsal for 2024. All right, we're going to run it back, but we can't run it back completely the same because we need to do a lot of things here. We need more weapons. We need to reconstruct this offensive line. And now it comes down to the cut you were talking about.
Right.
How much control will Aaron have on this roster reconstruction?
Well, I think it'd be pretty similar to various parts of my career where I'm a pretty decent recruiter. So if they have a certain person they want, making sure I'm in the loop to have the right conversations with that free agent. I enjoy those conversations. I think we'll try and get high character people in here that are about the right stuff, about what we're trying to be known for. And, Joe and I got a great relationship. So, the lines of communication are always wide open. I was actually just talking to him before I came down here. We talk weekly, but don't get a chance to sit down all the time. But we're always in communication, and it's a good line of communication between Robert and Joe and myself. And, I'm always trying to help out with, the chemistry and character stuff. And we need guys in here who are about the right stuff, and I think Joe's done a good job. I mean, the guys he's drafted the last couple of years have been pretty outstanding. Look at some of the big playmakers in their second and third years here. Look at the defensive side of the ball with Sauce and obviously Garrett on the offensive side of the ball, and Jermaine Johnson's had such an incredible year for us on defense. We got to keep drafting well and bringing guys who are about the right stuff. We'll see what happens with any trades or any of that stuff. But, I'm always kind of in the loop.
Now, of course he was going to be involved, just as much as he was involved this year.
Yeah, but he's also kind of trying to, pull the curtain out from under, right? And being the guys who are about the right stuff. Well, can they play football? They might be part of the right stuff in the locker room, but can they play football? Because let's be honest, the guys that they brought in this year that had ties to him in the past, and/or Nathaniel Hackett, which guys have actually done something this year?
It's funny you said that because listen to this from Rodgers today.
Offensively, we got to reload on a couple spots, but I think we got some great pieces in place. We have two outstanding game breaker players to build around, and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, who've had nice seasons. And I think the future is very bright in New Jersey for our guys, and we'll finish out this season the right way and be a long off season for sure. But I like the men that we have on the squad. I like the characters that we have, and we just got to add a couple pieces to it, and the goals will still be the goals.
Am I reading too much into the fact that Lazard wasn't one of the guys mentioned who's got 3 years left on his contract?
Well, he only mentioned 2 guys on offense.
Well, those are the 2 guys that you're going to mention, right?
I mean Tyler Conklin's a good player. I mean, he's had a solid year given all things considered. But
that's a guy that, listen, he wasn't going to name everybody.
No.
He named the 2 best players, but he didn't mention his guy Lazard, who's got 3 years left on his contract. So what that tells me is that he wants to win. This isn't going to be, let me bring in all my buddies and let's have some fun in the last couple of years of my deal. He wants to win. Now, I think he looked at Lazard as, I think that's a guy that can help us win, and maybe he's still turned off by him. Maybe he just forgot to mention his name. But the fact is, I don't think he's married to anybody because of what happened in Green Bay or that they're the guys they can go out to dinner with after the game. He's going to want to have a say in who's going to make him look better and, in turn, make the Jets look better offensively and have a chance to compete for a championship.
Well, Don, why was Billy Turner playing right tackle the other day?
Because of Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Randall Cobb's still on this team, and I like Randall Cobb, but that's another guy. So my point is when he says I'm a decent recruiter, well, that's got nothing to do with like players around the NFL who might be free agents or who might be available that the Jets might be targeting. It's the guys that you have affiliations with. Like right now, I guarantee you when people are starting to project what's the Jets roster is going to look like in 2024 and the people that they're maybe going to go after, you know that one of those names is going to be Devontae Adams. Right? Because that's already been blowing around for the last few months. And I'm sure that given the deficiencies they have on the offensive line this year, don't you know his good buddy David Bakhtiari from the Packers, who missed basically the entire season, is somebody that people are going to put 2 and 2 together and say, that might be a guy that the Jets go after. Why?
Because Aaron wants him. But both
is that
could
the
be
right
true.
decisions?
But
That's the problem.
This is when you get players trying to be general managers. Didn't work for LeBron James. Didn't work for Michael Jordan. Is it going to work for Aaron Rodgers? But Aaron Rodgers wants this to work. And he saw the same way Joe Douglas saw, the same way we all saw, how flawed this team was. And how it wasn't all just bad quarterback play. That was a major reason why. But bad offensive line play. The weapons were overrated. So now we've got a chance to take a look at how they can correct things. And, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is going to be involved. There's no question about that. Now, what I need to know, now he praised Robert Saleh. Are you coming back with the exact same coaching staff? When you run it back, you're not going to change the general manager. That's too much. That's too big a move.
Right.
And you're obviously not replacing Nathaniel Hackett because that's Aaron's guy. But is Aaron Rodgers liking Robert Saleh enough for Saleh to get the opportunity to be the head coach of this team next year? He's a defensive guy. 3 straight losing seasons, not all his fault. Team isn't ready to play sometimes. That is his fault. A lot of penalties, also his fault. But you can also make the case that they've won more games than they should have. Should they have won 7 games last year? When you look at what their final record is going to be this year, it could have been a lot worse. Where do you stand on Robert Saleh on all of this? Is that a piece that you feel comfortable is going to come back?
I think Robert Saleh, I don't think anything's happening to him, if that's what you mean. I think he'll be the coach here next year.
Okay, well, that's the answer then.
Yeah, look, if you're asking me what's going to happen to the Jets as far as the power structure and what type of moves they might make going into next year, they're going to make a move for the sake of making a move to make somebody be held accountable for what failed them this year. You might be looking at like a position coach, but the coordinators are safe. The head coach is safe. The general manager is safe. Nothing is happening as far as you get higher up the food chain. Nothing. Because, again, this guy's comfortable with everybody, right? Now, the only thing that might change is, Jeff Ulbrich, who's done a great job, and, talk is he's going to get some head coaching interviews during the offseason. I hope for him that he gets a head coach to advance up the career ladder there. But as far as anything significant on those fronts, no. Nobody is going to be like an ex-Jet coach.
Well, that's the Aaron Rodgers report, driven by Ramsey Mazda. It's the experience of driving new Mazda and buying a new Mazda for Ramsey Mazda. Choose wisely. Choose Ramsey Mazda. Let's hear from you. 1-800-919-3776. And let's start it off with Danny on Long Island. You're on ESPN New York. How are you, Danny?
Good afternoon, boys. Get ready for another great show. Before we go into Aaron Rodgers, last night's game, highly questionable play calling by the Eagles. It's first and 10 at the 40. You got 22 seconds to go and 2 timeouts, and you throw a bomb. All you need is 15 yards for a game-tying field goal. Didn't like that at all. I think that
kind of
coach
look like
gets
your
a little
coach.
too emotional.
You look like your coach against the Patriots.
That's exactly right. And I think they gave that game away with bad coaching. They were moving the ball well on the ground. They threw an interception midway through the fourth quarter on another ill-fated bomb, and they allowed that team to get back in. And I'm happy for Locke. I'm always happy for a quarterback that struggles and gets bounced around, and he has his moment out on national television.
You know, I'll tell you what. Even though he didn't play well in the fourth, I give Jalen Hurts a ton of credit because he looked like he was 1 foot away from being at death's door. Remember, he wasn't going to play because he was so sick with the flu.
Yeah.
And the game at the beginning, it was raining and cold. And can you imagine feeling like just utter crap and having to go out there and play in that garbage, even though you're getting paid millions of dollars? But that's the reason I never wanted
but that's
to
why
play
all these coaches, why can't you just
talked right over that one, right?
Well, we move on.
To the Michael K. Show, everybody. We'll make our picks after we talk to our next guest. We've been looking forward to talking to him, coming off an absolutely unbelievable year that should get him the Cy Young Award in the American League, unless there's no justice in the world, and that is New York Yankees ace Garrett Cole, and he joins us now on the show. Garrett, it's Michael, Don, and Peter. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for coming on. Obviously, you're always all about team. That being said, Yankees not going to the playoffs after Sunday. Can you still allow yourself time to enjoy the personal season that you had and how great you were?
Yeah, I think a little bit of that just happens naturally. The guys are playing so hard in those games, and they were finding extra energy to get up for them, and we were all kind of excited. So I think we've kind of celebrated that a little bit, and just our own way over the last couple of days, and at the same time looking forward to got 3 extra games to keep getting better and keep figuring some stuff out. So,
did you have any indication at all that this could happen this season? Did you see this coming, or was it a complete surprise that you guys took the step back that you did?
Obviously, a couple of the injuries are quite shocking and rare. But it's always on paper in spring training. It's just, it's like every time I get this answer or this question in February or whatever, it's like, come check with me, in September, and I'll let you know where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything is possible. Anything is possible. But certainly Rizzo and Aaron, for sure, those injuries are that's just unfortunate, playing hard baseball. So
now, your game, if it's possible, because you've been a great pitcher for a long time, you took a step up this year. You kind of eliminated the home runs, which bedeviled you last year. Was that a point of emphasis for you coming into this season, Garrett? Or was it just, hey, last year they went out, this year they don't go out?
Well, certainly I felt like I had a little more control over one year they go out and one year they don't go out. So I definitely put some thought and concerted effort into some strategies to try to mitigate the slug and understand how I lost games or how I lost some leads late that we otherwise could have locked up, and made a couple adjustments just overall to essentially just become better at preventing runs.
Now, you have not spoken about the Cy Young because you still had starts to go, and you made your last start the other day, and you went out with a bang, a complete game shot against Toronto. So that being said, Garrett, what would winning, because I know you love baseball and your appreciation of baseball history, what would it mean to you? What does that award mean to you?
It's the most coveted award, in the pitching world.
I guess you could still consider MVP a possibility. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Kershaw and Verlander did it, but it's just I don't know. It's hard to put into words how humbling it would be, and the statistics that go into this are personal statistics. But I mean, everybody just contributes to this. Our college coach used to always tell us that for guys to get individual awards or have great seasons, the team collectively has to play well together. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And we didn't push it as far as we wanted to, but they still fought every single pitch and didn't give up any outs. And so to represent this organization, like obviously my favorite team, would be very special. And to represent, all the hard work that everyone else put into it would be, it would be great for all of us. It would just be, what a special honor.
No, I'm just taking a glance at your stats this year, and there's just 8 categories that I counted that are in bold, in which you lead the league in: innings pitched, winning percentage, earned run average. Is there a stat that you're the most proudest of this year?
I always dig just getting to the post, to be honest. I respect guys that go out there and pitch, just as much as they possibly can, and that was a type of game that I, dreamed of having, growing up, just being that workhorse, being, a guy that, we only get to go on the field 2 times a week, I love playing it, so I want to be out there as much as possible. So I take pride in those stats. There's a lot of discipline. There's a lot of, obviously, talent and amazing blessings from God that allow me to do those things. But, the hard work behind the scenes that I also contribute makes those statistics worthwhile.
Well, you mentioned this, and, we remember you as a little boy in the 2001 World Series in the stands. The Yankees were always your favorite team. And although you've been here a while, I've never asked you this. Has it lived up to everything you dreamed of as a little boy?
It is the most, it's so special to play for the city of New York. The buy-in from the fans and the market, the level of care, it's like, it's just that there are things about that I'm going to be honest, there are things about that sometimes aren't the most enjoyable part of it, but life's not perfect, and you got to get through stuff that you don't sometimes like, and at the same time, the rewards and the benefits of playing in New York, and it's just such a high level of excellence that people demand. It's just a great. How could you want it anything different? How could you want anything different? So, so we haven't achieved our goals, but that doesn't mean that we don't have opportunities in the future to do something special. And there's no better place. There's no better place to do it than New York. So,
Garrett, one thing I think fans think about a lot with this team is what's going on with in the locker room. Who sort of plays a leadership role. First of all, do you consider yourself a leader in that locker room, and what kind of leader? And is it challenging to lead when, as you said, you're only on the field a couple days a week?
I would consider myself a leader, yes. The type of leader, it's hard for me to categorize. I just try to lead in every kind of way that I can, and just be as good of a teammate, as well-rounded of a teammate as I can. So, hard for me to say there. And I forgot the last part of your question, but I think it was something about how is it to lead in this situation or whatever. Oftentimes we learn things from failing, and oftentimes we learn a lot of things about people when people are failing, and we need to get better. And so, just the way that Aaron goes about his business and sets the tone, I just try to go about my business the same way and set the tone. I just be a professional and bring it every single day. regardless of the outside circumstances or how easy or how hard it is to get up for the game, it's just to go out there and do your job. And it's a fun job, and we're blessed to do it. So, I just try to reinforce, I think, those characteristics every time I come to the park.
I know we have time for one more question, so let me ask you this, Garrett. Aaron Judge said the other day he's going to be involved in the offseason. He's going to talk to Hal Steinbrenner. He's going to tell him what he thinks needs to go on and things that need to change. And you're just as important as Aaron is to the future and the present of this organization. Will you also be active in that sense?
Well, we'll certainly have conversations with all the same people Aaron does, and Aaron and I have a lot of conversations together. Because, we're representative of the team as well, so, we care about all the players' opinions and what they have to offer. So not only is it just Aaron's thoughts, but he speaks on behalf of everyone else. So, I'll be right there with him to support him, whatever he needs to say, whatever he needs to bounce off. We're all in this together. So ultimately, we all should be tugging on the rope the same way. That's how I feel about that.
I'll tell you what, congratulations on a great year. Yeah. It's a blast watching you pitch every 5 days. It's actually a pleasure. So I hope you had fun doing it, because it sounds like you do, and it seems like you do when you're on the mound, like you're really locked in and you're doing something that you love. I think it shows.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I do have fun. I'm looking forward to having some more fun, too.
Good stuff. Thanks, Garrett.
All right, take care.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting the host of the show.
What?
Schefter reporting Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets.
Wow. There you go.
How do you like them apples?
I said it in a meeting today. It was going to happen.
Wow.
And it happened.
And do we have
I
the
just
details?
figured there's so much going on.
Yeah,
All right, Anthony, what's the details?
All right, so according to Schefter's Twitter, the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, pick number 15, and in 2023 and a fifth-round pick. The Packers get pick number 13, a 2023 second-round pick, number 42, a sixth-round pick, number 207, and a conditional 2024 second. That pick becomes a first if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays. The deal is done.
I got to tell you guys,
not bad.
Joe Douglas is very good at what he does.
I mean, essentially, he flipped the 13th for the 15th pick. The other stuff doesn't concern me.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So wait, you get Aaron Rodgers, you go back 2 picks in the draft, and then you worry about giving up a 6th-round pick, number 207 overall, and a conditional 2024 second-round pick.
And then it could be a first-round pick in 25. So he's got to pay 65% of 2 years, right, Anthony?
Becomes a first-rounder if he plays 65% of the plays.
I think it's this year.
Just this year?
Well, it says 2024 second, so you'd have to think that since it's the next year's pick,
right?
Yeah,
you'd be worried about the season after this season.
Then that's a lot. So the 2024 pick becomes a first-rounder if he plays 65% of this year?
Yeah.
So you gave up a first-round pick for 1 year? Now, the first-round pick for the Jets could be awful if he plays
they're
well.
hoping it's 32.
Right.
Then you're not going to care. And they're hoping it's going to be a low pick. And then they have multiple second-round picks, so you're giving up number 42 of the second. And
but you're not giving that up. Because if it advances to a 1, then you're giving up the 1, not the 2.
Basically this. You basically can ignore the first round, right? The 13th.
No. I'm sorry. I just want to... It's the 13th overall pick, a 2023 second-round pick.
Right.
A 6th-round pick, and a conditional 2024 second-round pick that becomes a first-round pick. So they're still giving up a second-round pick.
That's the big on
Friday.
The bigger one is the second-round pick they lose Friday.
Yeah.
Because basically the first round's a swap, right? 15 for 13, whatever. They weren't going to get a quarterback anyway. It's whatever. The fact that they lose the second-round pick is something. 6th-rounder you live with. And then to Michael's point, it looks like, in all likelihood, that will end up then being another first-rounder in a couple of years. I still think that's a pretty good job by Joe Douglas. Obviously, if Aaron Rodgers turns out to be Aaron Rodgers,
I think it's a great job by the Pack too. If you want my opinion,
no, it is. I mean, I think it's both general managers can feel good about themselves, especially the Packers for what the draft equity they get, and Michael, you were arguing about the third. There's a difference between 13 and 15.
Oh, I know.
So they did cave a little bit on the first round pick. They do lose 2 spots, but that second round pick's not nothing this year.
No, it's a number 42 pick.
It's a number 42 overall pick in a 32-team league. It's the 10th pick in the second round.
But isn't that the pick they got in the deal for him?
Oh, yeah. They got multiple picks in the second round. That's why they felt like it was expendable.
I just don't like that the next year's pick in 2024 becoming a first round if he plays 65% of his games.
But if he plays 65% of his games,
and we know that means in year 1, 65%.
Well, it has to be if it's the 2024 first round pick, right? Because next year is the 2024 draft. So the only knowledge we'll have is what he played in the first year, because the second year would come after the 2024 draft.
Well, guys, Jets fans, you have Aaron Rodgers.
Playoffs what? Yankees who? Mets what, Wesco?
Finally.
I told you. I didn't even sweat
Don
losing my
doesn't have
job.
to lose his job. Thank goodness. Let's bring in our very own Rich Cimini, who's covered the Jets forever. So, Rich, tell me about the particulars in this, and what do you think of what the Jets gave up?
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, this came in about where we thought we were speculating on. So they're flipping places in this year's draft. So it's going to be they'll go from 13 to 15. And that's roughly the equivalent of a high 4th rounder. They're also giving up a 5th rounder this year. And check that. They're also giving up a 2nd rounder this year, the 42nd pick, which we knew about. We've been speculating that for weeks. And also a 6th rounder. The thing that's a little bit interesting is next year, it's very likely that they're going to give up a first-round pick next year because it's a conditional 2nd right now, and it goes to a 1 if he plays in 65% of the plays. So if Aaron Rodgers is healthy next year, he's obviously going to play in that many plays. And so essentially what the Jets are giving up is like a 2nd rounder this year and more than likely a 1st rounder next year to get Aaron Rodgers, which is pretty steep for a 39-year-old quarterback who, look, may only play 1 year.
Yeah, I was interested by that as well. 65% of the plays, so I hated math. What does that amount to? Maybe, 3-4 games? I mean, that could be the difference of you winning the Super Bowl and missing the playoffs. If he got hurt and missed like the last 4 games of the season and you missed the playoffs and have to fork over a first-round pick the next year, that could sting.
Well, not only that, Don, because let's just take the worst-case scenario, which you just described pretty well there, but say he decides after that to only play 1 year, the Jets quite likely are going to be in the market for a quarterback in the 24 draft and won't have their first-round pick. So would be difficult, and it's a very good quarterback class for next year, of course, with a couple of really good players in the 24 draft. So, yeah, that's kind of the worst-case scenario. The Jets obviously are all in here. This is Super Bowl or bust. They didn't make this move to just sneak into the playoffs. Woody Johnson, got to give him credit here. I mean, going all in, he stuck to his guns through this entire process. He could have diverted and maybe gone after a Ryan Tannehill or someone of that ilk, but he stuck to his guns and went for Rodgers. So Woody is all in.
I will tell you this, though. I think you just hit on it yourself. I think it's a lot to give up for a guy who's going to play 1 year. I really do. And maybe he plays 2 years, but if they don't win a Super Bowl this year, do I really feel good about giving up a first-round pick next year for this guy for 1 year?
Yeah, I think a couple of weeks ago, I know the Jets were looking for some protection on the back end just in case he only played 1 year. They wanted the ability to maybe get back a pick in 2025 from Green Bay. But based on from what I'm seeing now, they're not getting any of that, protection on the back end.
What was Green Bay's leverage, though, Rich?
Yeah.
What was their leverage?
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't have a lot of leverage here, Mike, because I thought the pressure was on Green Bay coming into this draft because they wanted to obviously get something out of this draft. The part we don't know yet is the contract. So I'm curious to see if Green Bay is eating some of that money. I would think that they would, based on the level of this compensation, because if the Jets are taking on this entire contract, which is $59 million this year, and giving up that compensation, that's an awful lot. I thought Green Bay would eat some, and maybe they have. I just don't know that part yet, but that's the part we're waiting for to come out.
Now, what was the motivation to have it happen now, especially with the reports that Rodgers probably wasn't going to report to the voluntary OTAs or maybe not even show up till May anyway?
Well, they were going to have to get this done before the draft just because of the salary cap implications. The Jets don't have a lot of cap room right now. They're under $8 million. Rodgers is going to be probably about $16 million on their cap. So they were going to have to do different things and restructure some contracts ahead of him actually joining the roster and perhaps his own restructuring of his own contract. So I think it gives the teams and also gives the teams more of a like a runway into the draft. The Packers obviously have more draft capital to deal with, and the Jets are in a different position in some rounds. So it gives the teams a chance to let the dust settle and go into the draft.
I know you have some writing to do, Rich. Thanks for popping on with us.
All right, you're welcome, guys. Take care.
All right, that's Rich Cimini. So the more I think about it, I think they gave up a lot.
It's a lot.
I really do. Obviously, going 13 to 15, that's cool. The second rounder, that's cool. The first rounder next year, because he is going to play 65%. And if he doesn't play 65%, then the whole thing blew up in their face anyway. They're not making the playoffs with Zach Wilson as their quarterback. So now he's got to play 65% of the plays because he is, even when he's hurt, he plays. He's a very, very sturdy quarterback. I think that's a lot. I think that's a lot for a 39-year-old who might not play next year. What was the Jets' motivation to give that up, and what was the Packers' leverage?
Now, what if the Jets feel very confident that he's playing 2 years?
That's what it feels like to me.
Does that change your take on it all, Michael? If they know he's told them he's staying 2 years?
Slightly.
No, I think a lot more, because then you don't necessarily care about the first round pick because you're not going to be in search of a quarterback if you know he's going to play in 2024. They must have some indication, because I think this deal looks a lot better if you know he's playing in 2024. Now, that's a lot to have to go on, because Rodgers could very easily change his mind.
Right.
He'd go into the dark room in the offseason and say, well, listen, I was going to play, but unfortunately, I'm not going to play. But this gives me an indication when they spoke to him, they must have some assurance that he has every intention of playing in 2024. Then that potential first-round pick doesn't hurt as much. But like Rich said, Michael, if you've got to start over looking for another quarterback with no first-round pick, then that's really going to sting.
Yeah. We told you that we'll be talking with the GM of the Jets, and gosh darn it, we didn't lie. Here he is, Joe Douglas, on the show. Joe, it's Michael, Don, and Peter. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Getting Rodgers finally, did you always know it was going to happen, or does this feel like a big piece off your plate?
I feel like we were optimistic that we were going to get this done, but you never count the chickens until the eggs hatch. So we needed to get this across the finish line at some point, and we're thankfully we were able to get agreed all the terms yesterday afternoon.
All right. So, Joe, when you went out to California to talk to Rodgers, did you have what would serve as the parameters of this deal in place with Green Bay?
I talked a little bit about this to the beat out in Arizona. I feel like every deal is a little bit different. And this particular deal, we were granted permission without the parameters in place. Mm-hmm. We were granted permission to talk to Aaron. So really, we were going out just to meet Aaron, spend some time with Aaron, just to see if there was going to be interest in his part in joining our organization.
So the biggest topic of conversation, Joe, has been the second-round pick that becomes a first-round pick in 2024 if he plays 65% of the snaps. How did you come to that percentage?
Well, obviously, we're there's a lot of conversations that happen before we finalize everything. I mean, there was a lot of back and forth on quite a few pieces of that particular agreement, and that was probably one of the last things that was ironed out. Again, we're comfortable with where things ended up, and the goal from the beginning was to get the player in the building, and so we're excited to do that soon.
Joe, was the final piece, was that the toughest piece to get this deal done?
I think the last couple conversations, just a couple, back and forth, and what are the major I felt like the major components of the deal were in place. Just a few percentages, little things were the last bits that need to be tied up, and feel like but again, Brian's a pro. He's awesome. Been doing this a long time, and I have a ton of respect for him. And we were able to finalize everything and get to a good place last night. So just happy we were able to work together and get it done.
What do you think, Aaron Rodgers, the guy so far? Do you feel like you've gotten to know him? Anything surprise you about his personality that maybe you didn't know prior?
I mean, Aaron is a unbelievable player. First off, I think everybody knows that. Just getting to know him in that window that we were able to talk to him, and the conversations that we were able to have. I won't get anything specific, but just how genuine of a person he is, how competitive he is, how much that he still craves winning in this league, and so it was awesome to get to know him and just to spend a little bit of time talking ball with him.
What would you say, Joe, to those that think you probably gave up a little bit more than we all thought? I'm one of them, especially the second round pick vesting to a first round pick. If Aaron stays 1 year, that seems like a lot. What do you say to us?
Yeah, to say that we're comfortable with where we were, how this deal landed. I mean, ultimately, we know that we made this move to add a Hall of Fame caliber player, and to take a step as a team, as an organization, with the young players that we have. And so, I'll let everybody else debate, who's winning, who's losing, who did what. But ultimately, we're able to get this done and get a player that we think can really help us.
All right, so Joe, I say this with respect and no derision at all, but what was their leverage? They didn't want him. He wanted to play for the Jets. There wasn't another team involved. So what were you negotiating against with them?
Well, obviously they have a value for the player, and they again, great talks. I think both sides were pretty aggressive in certain things and what they wanted, and again, I'd just say that ultimately we wanted to make sure we acquired the player, and once we knew that he wanted to be here, which is, again, I've said it before, but it's a real credit to what Robert and his staff are doing. That was the goal. Let's get this player in the building.
Was there any conversations, Joe, on him playing beyond this season?
Again, I think there's a ton of great conversation. I'm not going to get into specifics. I think, and I'm certainly not going to speak for Aaron. So, I just go back to that we're very comfortable with where this deal landed for us.
Now, Jet fans are not used to this, Joe, but, I mean, you guys are Super Bowl contenders. Do you feel that pressure now because even before you got Aaron Rodgers, you had an unbelievable draft last year. You have a lot of talent on the team. Do you feel that this team can win the Super Bowl?
Well, certainly you add a player of Aaron's magnitude. We understand. We understand you're swimming in some deeper water. But again, we're excited that he wanted to be here. One, I think it's a credit to the young guys that were added. Their competitive makeup, how they went out and performed, how they handled themselves as professionals, and there's a core group of players here that were attractive to a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. So we still have a ton of work to do. And we need to get Aaron here. There are some people here that Aaron has really good familiarity with, and obviously, you've been in one place for 18 years. There's going to be a little bit of a transition period in a new environment. We're really hopeful that the familiar faces are going to help ease that transition a little bit. But we've got to get together and build the unity, build this team. And, our biggest, once we finalize this trade, our next big thing is infusing this team with the young talent through the draft, which we're excited about the opportunities that are going to present themselves on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of this week.
We're in the middle of the Joe Douglas Report on 98.7 ESPN, driven by Ramsey Mazda.
Joe, did you have any conversation with Aaron about just playing in this market, what it means in terms of the media? As big a star as he is, he has never been the front-facing player of a New York organization, and we all know that's a different beast. Did you guys discuss that at all?
Yeah, I think we had a ton of great conversation, and again, I would go back to one of the huge things that I kept hearing from him was just how innately competitive and driven he still is to come to a place like New York and win and perform. And so the fire is still very much there, and I think everybody's going to see that soon.
Where do we stand right now with Quinnen Williams?
We're in a good place. I feel like we've had really good conversations with Nicole. Been able to work with Nicole on many different deals, but I feel like we're in a good place, and definitely optimistic that we're going to get this done soon.
Talking with Joe Douglas, the Jet GM. Joe, are you comfortable with Zach Wilson as your backup quarterback, or is there work to be done there?
Oh, absolutely. I think again, I touched on it earlier in the press conference today, but this is a great opportunity for Zach to really be next to a Hall of Fame quarterback and see how he does things from A to Z. And I think this is going to be a great experience for him. And there's still a lot of confidence in Zach in this building. So I know that Nathaniel Todd extremely excited to get back on the grass with Zach and the rest of the QBs.
So you've got the 15th pick on Thursday. I know that draft capital is sacrosanct to every GM. Was it tough to go from 13 to 15? And do you believe that move down 2 spots actually cost you something that you might have been looking at? And what are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see on Thursday night. I feel like one of the reasons we were willing to make that move at the end of negotiations, we feel there's going to be a similar caliber player at 15 as there would be at 13. Again, you go into every draft wherever you're picking, whether it's 8 or 24 or 32, wherever. We've got to find that number of players that we're really excited about. We had 13 prior to the trade. We have 15 now that we'd be really excited about taking. So if the board fell off with our first 15, okay, 15, we're ready to roll. Turn it in. Can't trade back. Let's roll. And so we're at that place, whether it's 13, 14, 15. So we feel good about where we are in our draft prep. So look, there's a lot of options available. There's a variety of different talent in this draft at different positions, and so I think at 15 you're just going to be disciplined and let the board come to you and see what's there.
Now, Joe, I know you're all business, but you just made one of the biggest trades in the history of this organization. Your team is going to be competing for a Super Bowl. Get fired up.
I was going to say the same thing.
We are fired up.
Do you ever sit back and go, we just got Aaron Rodgers as a Jet?
I'm pretty even-keeled guy, so I don't really get. I think you guys, we can hope finally hoist this Lombardi. I think that'll be a time where I can really kind of let loose. But we got a lot of work to do before we can even think about things like that. But trust me, everybody's excited. Everybody's excited, and just not every day that a Hall of Fame quarterback wants to come lead your organization. So this is a special time for sure.
If somehow randomly a veteran at a good price at quarterback popped up on the market, would you guys be interested in taking a sniff to bring in someone like that? Back up?
I mean, I won't get into the hypotheticals. I feel like we're good. We have a good core group of passers right now. I think we were going to take a look at if there's any opportunity to upgrade our team at any spot, any position. We're going to take a look at it. So, but there's going to be. We know that there's going to be more opportunities, possibly after the draft in June, and so feel like we have the resources. We still have the resources and flexibility to be aggressive if we need to.
All right, final thing. When you walked into Salah's office and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, we got Rodgers," what was his reaction?
So we were in the middle of a draft strategy meeting when I had to leave to hopefully finalize the deal, and so came back in after about 20-30 minute conversation on the last call, and he was fired up. I got a big hug, high five. There was a lot of joy.
Well, enjoy the draft. I know it's a lot of work, but you got the biggest piece that you were looking for, and we congratulate you and thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks, guys. Good talking to you.
All right, that's the Joe Douglas Report. Now we get a chance to welcome the new quarterback of the New York Jets. I can't believe I'm saying it. Well, Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet quarterback, New York Jet quarterback. And he joins us now on the home of the New York Jets, 98.7 ESPN. Aaron, it's Michael, Don, and Peter. How you doing today?
Hey, guys, I'm doing well. It's been a whirlwind, but I think you're my last thing I got to do, so I'm saving the best for last.
Oh, I love it.
Love this guy.
I love it. All right, so here's what I'm wondering. You are, without argument, one of the greatest players who ever played football. Why did you need this after the great career that you had in Green Bay? What does this stop do for you, Aaron?
I would say I don't need it. I want it. I wanted a new adventure, a new challenge. I love the game so much, and the opportunity that was presented to come play for the New York Jets, I just couldn't pass up. To be able to play for a coach I really, really respect in Robert Saleh, to be under the tutelage again of a dear, dear friend in Nathaniel Hackett, to be a part of a team that has a lot of pieces in place. You got the offensive and defensive rookie of the year. You have two guys who also could have been in the running, in Brees and Jermaine. You have an incredible group of players around those guys. You got a fan base that's hungry and passionate, and it's been a while since we've been in the playoffs, more or less, been in the Super Bowl. We're talking 50-plus years. It's the opportunity to be a part of an iconic franchise, to be a part of the history of this franchise, and to make history. It's pretty special. And my love of the game, my passion, my drive, has kind of been re-energized with this new opportunity and this new adventure I'm going on.
You mentioned it last, just how this fan base has been dying for a winner, dying for a quarterback. So to go out there and slay the dragon, Aaron, like how important is that as opposed to maybe other places that have won recently?
Well, I mean, I don't know about slaying the dragon. Maybe it's becoming the dragon. Maybe it's becoming the big bad monster of the NFL, and changing the expectations and changing the perspective. I think that's important. We got to learn how to win as a team and win consistently. We got to set realistic and large expectations. I think there's been a lot of Super Bowl or bust conversations, and I say embrace that, because that's the type of franchise, that's the type of fan base that you want to be a part of. You don't want to be a part of the team and a fan base that's just saying, hey, let's have a good season. Hey, let's go out and win 9 games, or let's go out and be on the edge of playoff contention. No, let's set expectations, and in this case, I truly believe this, realistic expectations. We're one of a handful of teams that can go out and do this. And let's set those expectations. Let's believe in it. Let's figure out how we're going to get there together. And let's go freaking do it. And the fan base is ready. The organization, obviously Woody believes in me, believes in this team, believes in Coach Saleh. I think we got the right people in charge. And now it's about going out there and melding and meshing and coming together and finding that chemistry as a team and going out there and putting the product on the field that our fan base can be really, really proud of, and that can get them hyped and go out and do something special.
Aaron, you seem, over the last couple of times I've heard you speak, you seem very at peace with this whole process. Your post yesterday to the Green Bay fans was really eloquent and kind. At what point did you sort of accept that this was the path and your time in Green Bay was up? Do you know it during last season? Was it before that? After?
I felt like that it was possible mid-season for sure, that this was possibly my last season. I really felt like it after I got out of Green Bay. I remember leaving the city and just wondering if this was going to be the last time I left as the quarterback of the Packers. I felt like that was a real possibility. Not that they had said that at that point, but just the feeling that I had was this year was different. And that's when I had to go into my contemplation and take some time away to mentally get clarity on what I wanted to do. And really after I figuratively and literally came out of the darkness, it was the Jets was at the front of my mind and the only team I was thinking about. A lot of people say that, say when they get to sign with somebody who's like, oh, it was always this, or they sign a player when it was rumored they wanted somebody else, and like, oh, this is the guy we always wanted. A lot of times it's BS, right? Mm-hmm. But in this case, it's the truth. When I came out of my contemplation, it was all about the New York Jets, and I just felt like the opportunity was too good to pass up on, and to be able to play for Hack again, to be able to play for Robert Saleh, to have Joe Douglas, be the GM, setting the vision, and also, having conversations with me about that and wanting to involve me in that process, and the opportunity to mentor Zach and to be a part of helping him, regain his confidence and become the player that we all know he's capable of being. And then to just be a part of helping the development of the young guys and inspiring some of the leaders to step in that role, because that's what we're going to need to get to where we want to go.
Green Bay is a sacred place for football, but it's the smallest market in the NFL. Do you have any trepidation at all, Aaron, going from the smallest market to the biggest market in the world?
I wouldn't say trepidation. No, I would say excitement. Mm-hmm. I obviously heard a lot about it and know kind of all the scare stories and different things. I've been in the public eye, most of my career. I've gone through some really interesting, situations, both as a young player and in the transition when, my predecessor came to the Jets 15 years ago, and then also, stuff more recently. So, I've dealt with the media. I know this is a different beast, but I'm excited about getting to know these people and I enjoy a media that really cares about their fan base or the players that they cover and the organization, and also obviously has the readers that they enjoy writing for. So I look forward to all things that come with being the quarterback of the New York Jets, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I just think the New York media just represents the New York fan base. And the one thing about New Yorkers, they're opinionated. You're very opinionated. So when you come into New York, will you change it all because there might be pushback from opinions and conversation, or are you looking forward to something like that?
Well, that's a great question. I think I got to be authentic to who I am, and it's gotten me this far. And I've made my fair share of mistakes and tried to learn from those, but I'm just going to keep on being me. And I love it. The New York fans of any sport, they have a passion about it and they expect greatness. And certain teams in the New York market have given them greatness over the years. And a lot of times it's like, okay, this is great. We love this year. And now what about next year? It's always. And I think there's something beautiful about that, because it's not, being average or mediocre is not a part of the situation. So I love that. I want to be a part of a team that has high expectations and isn't okay with mediocrity. And I love the opinions. I think that's the beautiful thing about our country is that there is still some freedom of speech and expression, and people voice their opinions, and I love it. Might not always be the right opinions. I might not always say the right thing, but I look forward to getting to know all of our fans and getting to interact with the reporters, get to know them, and learn a little bit more about them and their style, and hopefully let them learn a little bit more about me.
Well, listen, playing for the New York Jets, you will have a lot of interesting and cool fans, one of which is a friend of our show, Q-Tip of the great A Tribe Called Quest, one of the greatest groups of all time. And a huge fan now of you, Aaron, and he's been on board since this rumor started. And he texted me. I told him you were coming on the show, and he said, "Say to Aaron, the Jets haven't won a Super Bowl since Super Bowl III. The prospect of him coming here and winning for this Queens-originated franchise in year one would put him in rarefied air. Have you really thought about the air that you would be in if you could somehow take this team back?"
100% yes. And I fully embrace that challenge and that opportunity. And it's not the reason I'm here, but it's definitely something I think is really special. And that's going to be the focus from, this is day one. From day one until the end, that's going to be the perspective that we're going to have. That's going to be how we're going to manifest with our words and with our actions. And that's where we want to be in February is becoming iconic members of a storied franchise by winning the championship here. And I'm excited about the prospects of being here, excited about the history of this team, and hopefully adding my name to that history.
Not that you need anybody else to set your template, but did you look at what Brady did leaving New England and getting a championship? Matthew Stafford left Detroit, getting a championship somewhere else. And was anything implanted in your head at that time, even though you were at Green Bay, hey, that might be a cool thing to do?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say I always wanted to retire a Packer. I just think there's something iconic about starting and ending with the same theme. It's very rare it's been done. Obviously, Derek Jeter did it. Tim Duncan is a name that comes to mind, Kobe Bryant. That just is such a rare occurrence. I thought maybe I could be an outlier in that sense, but it didn't work out. And when you start to take your mind to the possibility of doing this, you're also forgetting Peyton Manning, who went from Indy to Denver and won a championship. And there's been, listen, those are guys in my era. I played with those guys. I've been contemporaries of those guys. Had a lot of battles against Matthew, especially in Detroit. And I think there's something to a change of scenery for even some of the older guys where it can kind of rejuvenate you and re-energize your passion for the game and your excitement, and also just the possibility of doing something really special in a new city and endearing yourself to a new fan base is something really cool. And not every franchise is like the Jets. There's a few iconic franchises in our game, and like you said, when you win here, it's different than other places. Now, Green Bay is the same way. When you win in Green Bay, when you win in New York, you're forever going to have a place in the hearts and the history of those fan bases and those teams, and that's why I'm here.
You talked about you're here, you could be beyond this year. How sure are you of that? Is that going to be something you're going to have to contemplate during the offseason? The fans would love to see how much longer you want to play football.
I want to play as long as it's fun. I want to play as long as I'm enjoying it, as long as my body can make it through. There's been a lot of changes in medicine and nutrition and diet and rehab and prehab and all these different modalities that people have done to stay active and to stay athletic. And I've been a proponent of all those things, and it's really helped me the last few years doing certain things to keep my legs and to feel like I'm strong throughout the season, and that's always a part of it. But I'm just honestly just focusing on this season right now, and the Jets did give a lot up to bring me in, and I'm fully aware of that. But right now I'm just going to focus on this year, and I'd like to play as long as I'm healthy and love it. And being back here with Coach Hackett, who always made every single day fun for 3 years in Green Bay, I think the fun part's going to be there. So it's just a matter of making sure my body is is able to withstand the grind of a season. And we'll start with 2023 and take it from there.
What is it about Saleh you love so much?
Well, he's an alpha. He has a commanding presence. I enjoy the way he speaks. I enjoy the way that he handles press conferences. This is kind of my own thing I've seen from him. I haven't spent a ton of time. I haven't seen him, lead in front of a room yet, or not much on the practice field. I've seen him, when we did the Air Squad practices in Green Bay. I saw kind of how he was, but I just like the way he talks. I like the presence that he has. He has a charisma about him, which is palpable. I think there's a lot to be said for that, but he listens as well. I think every great leader, you have to remember that there's, 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And there's times to talk, and that your voice needs to carry the weight and the gravitas that you have. But there's also times to listen, and not just listen to respond, but listen to understand and to really take input and then delegate. And then at the end of the day, you have the final say, and what you say goes. So you have to carry some weight with your voice, but also be humble enough to listen to people who just want to help you. And I think that's what every great leadership, individual leadership has. And I think he's one of those guys. So I enjoy the time I've spent with him, and enjoy getting to know him even more.
I think the step one to you winning over this New York fan base was the words you had about Joe Namath and what he means to this town, and the fact that you, even though he offered the number, you decided to go with 8. Did you ever consider 12, and have you actually been on the phone with Joe yet and had the pleasure of talking to him?
I haven't. I've met Joe on a few occasions at Super Bowl events, at the ESPYs, I believe, or at the NFL Honors as well. And always enjoyed our interactions. It's surreal for me to meet, some of my idols that I, grew up, because I'm such a lover of the history of the game. And like I said in the press conference, I used to wear out this old VHS tape of Super Bowl highlights. So when I got to Green Bay, I already knew who Bart Starr was, and Max McGee, and Fuzzy Thurston, and Jerry Kramer, and Ray Nitschke, and Willie Davis, and on and on and on and on and on. And you can't know the history of the Super Bowl without Super Bowl III and that 16-7 win, and knowing the story about Joe, and then learning the other stories about some of the crazy stuff that he did before social media was around. It's wearing a fur, and just the incredible charisma that he has. And so then I obviously saw what he had said about allowing me to unretire the number, and as much as I was super honored and touched by that, 12 for the Jets is Joe Willie Namath, and that's how it should always be. And I just thought it was appropriate for me to show the proper respect and honor for him in his career by taking a different number.
Well, we have to show you respect. We can't keep you the whole show, although we'd love to, because I can see why Pat McAfee would have you on for an hour and 15 minutes, because you're very compelling. Will you be Broadway Joe? When Broadway Joe was wearing pantyhose and doing all those commercials, he was like 25 years old. You're 39. Will you be a nightlife guy when you're not playing?
I don't know about that. Maybe during the off season a little bit. Nightlife as you get older, kind of the end of the nighttime kind of shifts from, maybe something in the wee hours of the morning to probably something before midnight. So
yeah, a little chamomile tea.
I'm gonna definitely enjoy the opportunity to get out in the city. There's obviously incredible food and stuff to do, and I'm gonna enjoy that as much as I can with my teammates. And there's a lot of friends who've been coming to Green Bay for a long time who are excited about, direct flights from the West Coast.
Sure.
And, staying in the city, doing dinners and Broadway shows and all that fun stuff. So, they were really excited about this decision as well. But I'm excited about what we got, cooking in the building. And then when I have some time off, everybody keeps talking to me about golf and Jersey. So I'm excited to figure out some of these courses, because I do enjoy playing a little bit of golf, but also excited to, mess around the city a little bit.
All right, one final thing. To be as great as you have been, you're a self-motivator. I'm wondering, Aaron, do you have a chip on your shoulder because the Green Bay Packers had the nerve to maybe not want you back with everything that you accomplished? Do you want to prove to them, oh, yeah, watch me?
That's not why the chip's on the shoulder. I truly, and I hope you hear my heart here, I have no bitterness or resentment or victim mentality about anything that happened in Green Bay the last couple months. I have nothing but love and gratitude for everything that we accomplished in 18 years, the incredible memories, the friendships that I have, the amazing people I met outside of the team in the city. I just have nothing but love and gratitude for that team, and I totally understood. All good things come to an end, and whether or not they wanted to admit it in the beginning of the off season, which they really didn't, it felt to me like they were ready to move on, and frankly, so was I. So it was the best for both of us. I'm excited for them, for Jordan. I love him. He's a great kid. I'm excited for his opportunity. So many dear friends over there who reached out the last few days that I still talk to on a weekly basis for sure. But I have plenty of things, guys, to motivate me, and none of it is any type of revenge or bitterness or frustration towards the Packers. I have nothing but love and gratitude for them. I don't need that to motivate me. I got plenty of other things that I can call on in a moment's notice to give me that extra motivation if I need it.
Well, very cool. I know you've had a long day with the media. Yes. We thank you for coming on. You're always welcome here. This is the home of the Jets. We actually carry the Jet game. So good luck. I hope you have a wonderful time here. It's going to be fun watching you play all the time.
Thanks, guys. I hope you appreciate it. I saved my best for last. So
You brought it. You really brought it. You really brought it. Yes.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right. That was terrific.
He was terrific.
It happened.
Yeah. We welcome in Todd Frazier. Todd, it's Michael, Don, and Peter. How you doing?
Good, yeah. We definitely don't want to mess around with your time slot. We'd have no audience, so we made sure of that.
Now, when you were playing, Todd, did you think, the second half of my career is going to be in broadcasting, or is this just something that came about?
It's something I've always wanted to do, be an analyst work, broadcasting, working with the team, but, did I ever think it would happen? No, I always wanted to play baseball and let the pieces fall as they may, and now an opportunity came up. I'm going to be doing at least 20 games, pre- and post-game at the studio there, and what's better than talking Yankee baseball, man? It's going to be a fun time for me, and hopefully this opens up the door for other things.
You remember Ray Lucas, right? Rutgers kid, and played in the NFL. And I worked with him, and he said when he retired, he couldn't stomach watching a football game. Like, he missed it too much. Was it difficult to transition away? Did you need a little downtime before you were able to jump back in and be able to broadcast?
No, not at all. Not at all. I kind of knew, when I got picked up by the Pirates, I was kind of getting moved back and forth. They were kind of giving me the wrap around, not telling me what's going on. I'm like, all right, well, kind of nearing my career here. And then I got a call after I got released to play in the Olympics. And after we won the silver medal, I kind of felt that this was probably it for me because I didn't get picked up by anybody else. And then eventually when it was over, it was great, man. I'm coaching my oldest son, 9 years old, with his Southsider travel team. We won our first tournament last week. And, I'm coaching 3 different Little League teams. So I'm trying to be the dad here and helping out my daughter in gymnastics as much as I can. So it's a lot of work, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
All right, so, Todd, it's interesting. You played on the Olympic team that won a silver medal. And, I was not a big fan of the WBC, but toward the end, they had me. The games were riveting, but the thing that I was puzzled about, a lot of players said winning the WBC is a bigger deal to them than the World Series. I don't quite get that, but you did play with USA across the chest. Is it close to, playing in a World Series or wanting to win a World Series?
I would agree with them, to be honest. Playing for your country, there's no single thing greater, to be honest with you, in my opinion. As a baseball player, you put the USA on your chest or wherever you're from. You see the electricity of the crowd. I think it's just as good, to be honest with you, because how many people can say they played for their country and played on biggest stage, playing against the best players in the world? But I also do see the other side of it, because you want to win a World Series. That's first and foremost. As a youngster, you dream about, hitting that walk-off home run in the World Series. But playing for your country, you saw Mike Trout. He said it's the single most greatest thing I've ever done in baseball in my life. and he's never been to a World Series. I get that, but still, hearing that from the greatest player in baseball, it bodes well.
All right, how do you feel about all these changes in baseball with the rules?
Yeah, I like most of them, man. I like how it's speeding up the game. The shifts, I'd still probably be playing a little longer if there was no more shifts because those C&I singles weren't happening anymore. So for me, I love it. There's going to be a lot more hits. There's going to be a lot more stolen bases. I don't like how some guys are trying to manipulate. Oh, man, I could quick pitch, do this or that as pitchers. As a hitter, it's kind of like, let's stick to one thing. But, rules are the rules. You can try and do what you got to do. So the only problem I have, if I could change one thing, would be, two things would be never to end a game on something like this. Or like you're not being able to throw a pitch on a certain time. All right, well, you walk the guy in. I don't agree with that. And then when the playoffs start, get rid of it because people love watching baseball when it's playoff time. Make sure everybody has the time they need, and let's play regular baseball.
Yeah, I don't hate that idea. Do you agree with the idea, Michael, you said this a few months ago on the show, that with the pitch clock, it kind of automatically shifts the pitcher to a position of power because they can control the tempo of it at bat?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I was at before. It's like, hey, listen, I think Nestor did it the other day.
Yep.
Cortez did it the other day. And then he actually took about 10 seconds on the mound in the air waiting to pitch. So if you're allowed to do it, you might as well. But at the same time, they do. They do have power. And they, we'll see how it happens during the season if any changes will be made. But as of now, nothing is going to be changed.
All right, so you've lived it. Kid from Tom's River, played for the Mets and the Yankees. Are you watching Anthony Volpe and kind of, say, yeah, I know what he's going through? Is it difficult to play in front of your home crowd, or is it easier?
Yeah, anybody from New Jersey, as you know, I'm going to watch very much so. I'm proud of this young man. He came out gangbusters in spring training. He's got a lot on his shoulders, man, because guess what? Not only is he playing in front of the best crowd in the world, he's going to have people calling him left and right, people he's never heard of from years. Hey, man, can I get a ticket? What are you doing after the game? Why haven't you called me back, man? I've done all this. He's going to get it from all different angles, and that's the stuff he's going to have to try and figure out. Listen, there's time for me to do my text messages, do my calls, and there's time for baseball, and he's got to put 100% effort into the game, especially his first year, because you guys know New York baseball eats you up and chew you out if you're not ready for it.
How do you feel about this Yankees team?
I feel good. I mean, I felt great before. Now the injuries, I'm kind of feeling good right now.
Right.
I was really excited about Carlos Rodon coming over. I played with him with the White Sox. He's an absolute bulldog. You guys are going to love him every 5 days once he's healthy. Ronnie Marinaccio is doing a great job. Michael King coming in the end there. Once we're all healthy, I think it's going to be an exceptional year. And if we can, I say we as I'm still playing, which is great, but if they can kind of stay around 500 this first month and, kickstart their basically I would say second half, but second month season and get going once everybody's healthy, I think they're going to be just fine.
Todd, I guarantee Flip and Jared will break you of we. You will not be saying we after one show.
Good, that's fine.
and you have any thoughts on the Mets?
Go ahead.
Any thoughts on the Mets?
I think they're going to be good too.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be good. Edwin Diaz hurts. I think that back of the end hurts. I know they have David Robertson, who's done it before, but Dave is a little older. He's not, he's definitely not throwing as harder with that cutter, but he's a good friend of mine. He's going to do just well, and they got the hitters. So if they hit with the two top dogs with Scherzer and Verlander there, I think they're going to be pretty good too. It's going to be a fun year in New York again, I think, for sure.
I have to ask you a dad question. So my son's 8, your son is 9, and you're coaching him.
Yeah.
Can you tell with your expert eye if your son has it?
Yes, for sure.
You can.
Yeah, I most definitely. He's there. If we're talking about my son, he's there. He has a lot of work to do. He has to gain some power. That's the biggest thing at that age. There's kids that are hitting the ball to the fence already. He's not there yet, but he plays a really good defense. He's a good pitcher. Does he have the potential? Yeah. But we'll see as he gets older once he develops more power.
Does he love it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I started a new team this year because he was playing up in his 8. So he was 8 playing with 9s. And he was a real young 8 because he just turned 9 this month. And he struggled, let's be honest. And I said, you know what, I'm going to start a team with your age group. And we had our first ever tournament. And boom, we beat everybody pretty convincingly. And the smile on his face made it that much better for me. That's all I could ask for.
Now, I know he's still it's still early on. He's a little kid. But do you get pretty nervous watching him play?
Oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. I'd rather be playing. It's terrible because you want him to do good, you want him to have fun, and this is it's really nerve-wracking. I never do, but I get on him a little more than I get on the other kids, so I got to ease back just a little bit.
Yeah, my 5-year-old son has his first game Saturday morning at 8:00, so I guess I'm going to experience those butterflies for the first time.
Without a doubt. And it's all of a sudden you turn into a new person. You're like, what the hell's going on here? So it's kind of funny at the same time.
All right, so you've convinced me, Todd. I'm moving to Jersey so you could coach my son Charlie, all right?
All right, bring him up. I got a spot for him. No problem.
All right, sounds good. So glad to be part of the team with you, joining Yes for those 20 games on the pre and post. You'll have a great time with Bob and Jack, and good luck with the Foul Territory podcast as well. So good to talk to you, Todd.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
It is a tree. That's right, Dan. It's a tree.
Let's go see the tree.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Is that a tree?
More, by the way, this tree?
With a bunch of bulbs on it. My neighbor's got a tree. It's not as big, but you don't have to go through the traffic.
That's true.
Traffic stinks.
I don't like traffic. Not a big fan.
It wasn't terrible today.
No, it really wasn't.
Like, we were expecting gloom and doom, but it really was manageable, somewhat manageable.
I mean, we hear it from Brandy almost every day since Thanksgiving. She said gridlock alert day, I think, every day. It kind of stops being gridlock alert if it's gridlock alert every day. That just means stop driving in New York City.
Yeah, I'm at the Garden tomorrow. I just was curious. Like, is tomorrow going to be busy? I don't know.
I think it'll be all right.
I expect 16,000 people there. Just avoid them.
I think, again, this is just like the list and everything else, just taking things very literally. Would you?
Rangers are an exciting hockey club.
Yeah.
Imagine if Connor McDavid was still there. They'd probably stream it.
That is true.
Well, it was McDavid.
Connor McDavid goes to the bathroom. They got to stream it someplace.
McDavid tours the Metro. So ESPN Plus had all 3 of those games. Ray Ferraro, I think, been on the sideline for every single on the ice for every single one.
And you've got a bet, right? Don't you have some parlays going?
Yeah. I need if McDavid gets 4 goals tonight, I hit one of them. So that's not probably gonna hit. And
it's not something you're rooting for.
Not at the present moment. I'm not. No, absolutely not.
Do you like the Rangers? You want them to win?
I would like the Rangers to win. Yes, it's gonna be a fun
Rangers.
game though. Go Rangers. Hey Don, how are you?
Do not touch Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Don and Dan.
Bob Costas was debating, I think, Don Trumpy.
Bob Trumpy, excuse me. You know why you said that, right?
Because of Trump? Donald Trump?
No, because who was Bob Trumpy's partner for a long time on NBC?
Don Criqui.
Don Criqui.
Yeah, see?
All
right, thank you for saving me.
You two thinking together.
So what you did there as a friend was like, you know what your problem is, Don? You know too much football.
Wow.
You know what? I probably didn't even have to do that because I think he's been more antagonistic towards me today than the other way around.
Have you felt that way?
I know it to
What was your first clue?
See? He agrees.
I don't think I would be.
No, I think
you jumped my list, which I'm very sensitive about.
I think Don takes his list very seriously. He's very
seriously.
protective of said list. Do you pay for your parking, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay,
taken
good.
care of.
Yeah,
so
the
we're
two
done.
of you.
We're done for the year.
Done for the year.
Done for the year.
What makes you think?
No, actually, no, because stupid. No, yeah, next Thursday.
You're not going to pay.
Football game.
No, you're not going to pay for parking.
I'll be here before 7.
You can find a
Dude,
spot.
we're on the air at 6.
I'm here at 11 that day.
But you have to pay till 7, right? And we're going to be on the air at 6 o'clock, so I will have to pay for something.
That is it. You're going to be locked in, right, Don? Jets, Browns.
Well, listen, you could say I have a job to do.
Trivia. Got to do that at some point.
Here's where I get a break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm off next week.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd say, well, at least for work, you got to watch Jets Commanders. I have I'm going to bet that nothing's going to happen in that game that's going to be talked about 2 weeks later. So
Probably not.
I think I'm good.
What about Jets
I'll check
Browns?
in. No, Jets. Listen, that's
Greg's basically, or I mean, Greg. Don's basically saying, yeah, don't even listen to the recap, the post game, the nothing.
I think he'll listen to us. I think he appreciates us and what we do.
I listen to a lot of football because I'm out and about, and I listen to you guys.
Oot and a boot.
And right now, there's a very, very good possibility that my trivia will be live on Sunday because we haven't recorded anything.
Why didn't you record the trivia yet?
I forgot.
I forgot about it, too, when I did the podcast this morning, which would have been the logical time to do it. I could do it right now, but in front of you, but then that wouldn't be any good.
Did you tell him what happened last week?
You've got some time, though, right? No, you don't have any time.
Did you tell him about my integrity last week in the trivia?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, he knew.
Yeah.
I said Dan could hear us.
The whole thing.
Could have.
Because Friday, when you did it Friday, you were home, I was here.
Right.
I'm sitting in this very spot. You're doing the podcast. I can hear said podcast in here. Then it's like, hey, you want to do the trivia? And I talked back to Anthony. In the talkback, I said, Anthony, I can hear everything before you did the trivia.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that he could hear because I forgot that we were in a little too technical. But the way that this is set up, if you're listening in program, you can hear everything. But I took you out of program, then he couldn't hear anything.
So I said I can hear this. So I didn't hear
because
anything,
I think
and that gives the heater even more credence.
But that
you wanted to throw
but
cold
that
water on.
still that shows that not only do you have integrity, that you're very competitive too. Like you don't want to get it on a cheat way like that.
100%.
We can do it live. We can do it before on Sunday. We'll talk about it.
You know what? Live trivia for like Christmas Eve, that might be some fun.
On the Christmas.
But we're jam-packed. How many spots do we have on Sunday?
2, right?
You know what? Here's the problem with the trivia.
The problem with the live trivia is you guys are home.
Right. And
That's
so
when
there's
things
a
get thrown
hell
out.
of a lot
I'm not going to
going
sit
on.
there for 2 hours waiting
I
for
don't blame you.
something to open up. So I'll either record it.
Wait,
before.
Ray sent the email right now. Yeah, I mean, we got.
Ray sent the email.
No, he did.
I know.
So we got like Tony Richardson on set at 11.
It was his birthday, you know.
Was it? Happy birthday.
Yeah, it was Tony Richardson.
At 11:45, which is generally when they're going to squeeze in the trivia. So, like, I don't want to do trivia with, like, Tony Richardson hanging out there because Tony Richardson's going to have this, like, confused look on his face. Like, why are they ignoring me?
I'm probably going to do it before the game. And what I might do Saturday, since I'll probably get to the Garden early, is maybe I'll do it from the Garden, give a little flavor.
Okay.
Record it Saturday from the Garden.
With the organist in the background,
Yeah,
maybe?
the whole nine.
Do it like during the game while the action's going on. So like, excuse me, Dave, while the Rangers are on the power play.
I think
and then
Dave
just
should
do the
participate.
trivia.
I don't think. Listen, I don't know if I should say this on the air.
Go ahead.
But love Dave. But when you start like incorporating too much football
or other sport, non-hockey sports,
he wants you to stay focused.
I respect that out of Dave.
It's not me, but I'm just saying, like when all of a sudden they start talking down the line, like, Don, Vikings just. What was the big play with the Vikings beat the Saints in the playoffs?
The Immaculate Reception. Not the Immaculate Reception.
Yeah,
the Minneapolis Miracle.
Right.
Stephon Diggs.
I was in Pittsburgh. We were doing the game during that time, and it was a big thing. And they was like, "Can we focus on the game?" And I get it. He wasn't talking to me. It's just like everybody else because there's a game to be played. So I wouldn't mess with that.
And who threw that
in
pass,
the call.
by the way?
You know what? Dave's a pro.
For the Minnesota Vikings?
To Stephon Diggs?
That would have to be Case Keenum?
That's correct, who's starting for the Texans again this week.
That's right, the 17th quarterback to start in Houston. Go ahead.
Hi, Dan.
The cheerleaders come out and do a routine like Happy Christmas,
Jacob.
If I get nailed to the door like Martha Luke, I'll just take it.
I have more questions about that than I think I want to know.
That is the best.
How morbid do you think my analogies are?
I think it was great.
We're nailing people to doors.
Greg Buttle.
From the past.
You can actually what? And then he said, like, I'm not from the future, or I'm not from now, I'm from the past. Which is very, like, sci-fi.
If you missed Greg in hour 2, if you missed Joe's picks, those will be up shortly after our picks, and Dan actually participated as well. We got a pick from 45. Bear nowhere to be found. Bear's laid out, which is sad.
How hard is it to just give the Bear pick? Are we just trying to keep the illusion that he actually speaks the Bear? He just can't throw out a team from Brazil. Are we going to really just continue? We're going to continue to try to sell. The Bear is actually.
Do you remember?
Get a Brazilian dog whisperer.
Do you remember one NBA trade deadline? We pretended that Bear was the insider.
Yeah.
And Peter's just yelling off mic, "Bear, who's next? What did Woj say?"
Right.
I think that was the Durant.
Yeah, I guess I'm exposing.
Good luck taking that bait.
Bear broke the Durant story.
From the past.
That's right, Greg. Oh, we had a fun day today. It's been a fun week. I've enjoyed the time with you guys. And I will miss you. And I will miss you next week. But I'm very excited to work with Ty and with Pat. It's going to be a lot of fun.
They're great. And I'm telling you, the people that are regulars to the Michael K. Show, they're both very talented.
Yes.
Very good.
So you'll have a good time with that.
And you're not going to be burned down on Thursday, right? You're going to have enough energy then to carry on and do that Jets-Browns.
Will there be coffee?
Of course.
Then we'll be fine.
Oh, I have to get. Well, the onus and the responsibility is now shifted because he's usually the coffee guy. But he's going to be in studio, so he can't get.
Well, look, there's two people that can do it. Because Greg's going to bring food, of course. Mm-hmm. But Ray or you can definitely get the coffee. And Ray usually asks, and you usually ask. So we'll get it done. It'll be fine.
We just got to get through this one first this weekend before you worry about Thursday.
Listen, I think we're very well prepared. We had our big meeting on Wednesday. We're ready to go.
True.
Interesting stuff from Vegas Aces coach Becky Hammond on NBA Today. You guys see this?
I did.
About the Knicks. Let's hear what she had to say.
They're not getting into that tier. They don't have enough personnel. They don't have the manpower that they need to hang with those guys. I think you're going to get a consistent team like they've been. They're a pretty good team. They're well coached. They're going to be on their defensive game. But at the end of the day, they don't have a dude. You got to have a dude. You got to have a 1A dude. And they're missing that at the end of the day if we're just getting down to brass taxes. Sorry.
I didn't want to disagree with Becky today, but they do have that dude.
Who?
Jalen Brunson.
No, he's too small.
But here's the thing, and that's
Didn't they say about you?
But you know
they
what?
say that about you.
But
You're a Hall of
you know
Famer.
what?
I got a philosophy. Can I say my philosophy?
Go ahead.
If your best player is small, you're not winning. John Stockton, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash. You could go down the list. Steph Curry is the only.
But he's not that small. He's not that small. He's like 6'3".
But also, though, I mean, he's the greatest shooter to ever walk the planet. He's in an outlier. Okay.
Isaiah Thomas says hi too, Becky.
I get what she's saying.
I do too. Dan, you disagree?
I mean, she's not wrong, but there are exceptions to every rule.
But isn't it a guard-driven league now?
It's a guard.
Or a wing league, perimeter-driven league.
And you're right, but what has our conversation been on this show and what we've talked about throughout? You said that the Knicks can make the Eastern Conference Finals, right? You think they could. Don thinks that's their ceiling. Why is that their ceiling? Because they don't have I think Jalen Brunson is on the verge of being a superstar. I think he's fantastic.
Yes.
But he is not the guy at the moment that's going to be going one-on-one with Jason Tatum, that's going to be able to put up points pound for pound with Jason Tatum, with Giannis, with Lillard. They don't have that guy. I don't think Becky's wrong. And she had to, and by the way, she almost issued essentially an apology, which I didn't think she had to. Because she also said that she was a small basketball player, and people counted her out. Like, if you don't have that guy, you're not going to win. Steph Curry is the exception to the rule right here in this moment because he is somebody that was able to carry the Warriors as a smaller guard as the best player.
She didn't apologize, did she?
Not apology, but like, let me set the record straight, and she explained herself again.
But she didn't have to
walk back.
Yeah, but you don't have to walk it back.
No,
That's
I
her
know.
opinion. I mean, nobody
And
should be
she's
offended by it. Well, even if she's wrong, she has an opinion.
And really, like, who cares anyway? It's December the 22nd. You know how much basketball there still is to play? If she's right, she's wrong. Who cares?
But they are missing that player. And Brunson is a great player. And Brunson scored 50 points against Phoenix. But on a day-in, day-out basis, Brunson cannot do it himself. He's not that type of player.
Correct.
You need Randall. You need Barrett. You need everybody else to kind of come together. Now, Stockton and Malone was that Stockton was too small, or unfortunately for Utah, they had to get through the Bulls.
Right. And look, every fan base
probably win a couple of championships. There's no Michael Jordan.
Every fan base is going to be protective of their team that they think is good and that they think could go very far. But even Knick fans who have called this show have said to us that they don't think that this team is going to be able to compete. Look, they're 0-5 against the Bucks and the Celtics. By the way, they get to play the Bucks 2 more times. Just the way
back to back.
I know, and one of them's on Christmas.
On the Christmas.
On the Christmas. On the Christmas. NBA's the Christmas schedule.
The baby Jesus.
Yes, the baby Jesus. Quite the win for the Rams last night. I'd say convincing, but again, we sweat out
it got
dicey.
A little dicey.
Got a little dicey, but Puka Nacua, another amazing game. Sean McVay says...
Rookie of the year?
Oh, that's what he said.
He's outstanding. No. You know, I mean, I couldn't be more grateful for the contributions, and I mean, what a freaking run on the jet sweep. Has a bunch of plays through the pass game. You guys have seen it week in and week out. You know, you talk about that balance. You can't have the balance if you don't have receivers that are willing to dig out support and do some of the things that he does. You know, you see around the league, you know, Stroud's had a great year, but this guy is, he would get my vote.
Of course.
Wouldn't get Dan
say that. He won't. I think he thinks it's Stroud.
It's going to be C.J. Stroud.
I don't know if he doesn't play the rest of the year.
No, but I will say, let's give credit where credit's due, because at the time we kind of poked fun at it, and I didn't think the Rams were necessarily going to be very good this year. And remember, what was their motto? Like, you know, F them draft picks or whatever, you know, trading away and going all in to win that Super Bowl. When you find guys like Puka Nacua in the 5th round, right, and other pieces along the way, like the running back. Look at where they are right now. Yeah.
Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are Eastern Washington. He played Fordham. That's how low level FCS Eastern Washington Cooper Kupp was.
If you know how to draft, and as far as Matthew Stafford, you know, give him credit. Right? Look what Cup was able to accomplish
The
under
last
him.
4 games, he's been unbelievable.
So, and the numbers that he put up in Detroit, which were ignored because they weren't a great team.
Right.
But, and listen, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but how about what Orlovsky said? He thinks he gives, of all the NFC teams, the team that's got the best shot to win in San Francisco, the LA Rams.
Would you want to play them right now as an NFC team in the first round? I'm going to say I don't think so. I'd be honest.
They're a little bit more efficient at home, so I mean, if they're coming into your building,
well, they just beat one of the leaders of the NFC South. So you think I would put them against any of the NFC South teams?
Well, I mean, the NFC South that's barely a division. When were the rumors though with the Jets that maybe they were kicking the tires on Matthew Stafford? Was that pre or post Rodgers injury? Like, was it back to like the offseason, like before they traded for Rodgers?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. One of the guys they could have gotten with Derek Carr, all that stuff.
I don't think it was after, no. I know that they were struggling. They said, like, let's see what happens if they continue to struggle. And by the way,
remember, the Rams. I mean, the Rams started 3-6,
and they're just fine, by the way. Because that offense, because McVay's a genius, and that offense is very good.
And before anybody jumps Dan or me even saying what Dan said, he said best chance. Didn't say the Rams would do it, but the best chance to win in San Francisco. They're very familiar with each other. Stafford's a really good quarterback. They've got a pretty good defense. Philadelphia's a mess. Dallas doesn't win on the road.
I told you, even Detroit, I think I would give a shot to.
The Detroit Lions?
To go on the road.
I want to see what they do over the next 3 weeks.
Didn't Orlovsky agree with that yesterday, too, when we had him on?
Yeah.
He's going to back his Lions. Come on.
Dan Orlov.
That's right. Guys, I think it's time. We have a long list of games. It is time for Dan's favorite part of the show, Michael's favorite part of the show. Hope he's watching at home. The NFL announcer lineup. And we start tomorrow.
Announcers, people call games, they talk, they say blah, 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 football.
4:30 NBC AFC North vehicle. Pittsburgh at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. You know what that is, guys? It's a baby eagle. Noah Eagle on the call, along with Todd Blackledge and Catherine Tappan. Jake Brown and QBs in their first 5 career starts are 13-35 straight up against the Steelers, but 2-1 straight up in the last 5 years. Under Mike Tomlin, the Steelers are 19-6-1 against the spread at home after allowing 30-plus points. The nightcap on
Can I ask a question
Saturday.
real quick to both of you guys?
Absolutely.
Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. They're 7-7.
Is this the year?
Home Bengals, at Seattle, at Baltimore, and they have Mason Rudolph as their quarterback.
Losing season.
He's going to happen?
Here's a Greek stat from that game.
Please.
Browning can become the second quarterback since 1950 to record a passer rating of 95 or higher in each of his first 5 career starts, joining who?
Scott Mitchell.
No. Brock Purdy.
Wow.
So it hadn't happened since 1950.
It's going to happen twice.
2 quarterbacks just happened twice in back-to-back years.
8 o'clock, Peacock exclusive, no commercials in the fourth quarter, but there will be stoppages. You're out.
You know how I feel about that.
Well, Chargers hosting Buffalo. Mike Tirico on the call.
They still seem to resonate.
There are 3 teams.
Chris Collinsworth.
Bang. Right on the butt.
And Melissa Stark. The Bills have lost 6 straight night games against the spread and 5 straight night games at home against the spread. The Chargers, team to lose by 20-plus the week before, facing a team who didn't, are 91-64-1 against the spread since 2020. Let's go to Sunday, shall we?
Sunday.
Indianapolis traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. That's Adam Amin.
Stands erect.
Mark Schlereth.
I literally empty my bladder completely on the bench.
And Christina Pink. And Don, what does that mean?
That's a pink and stink vehicle.
That's right. Gardner Minshew's faced 8 teams above 500 in his career, and his teams are 2-8 straight up, 4-6 against the spread. Falcons 4-10 against the spread this season, second worst record in the NFL behind the... Who has a worse record against the spread this year?
Carolina.
New England Patriots.
Oh.
Another game on Fox. Green Bay at Carolina. Don, you smell that?
That's a repeat of the 1996 NFC Championship game.
That's not what I'm smelling. What are you smelling, Don?
I'm smelling hopefully 1 point.
Well, I'm thinking Thursday on a Sunday.
A Thursday on a Sunday?
Yeah, and you know who's got to call. And you know who's got to call that?
I would say Chris Myers.
I have Chris Myers. Robert Smith and Jen Hale.
Robert Smith.
Jordan Love 2-5.
Roberto, ven acá.
Jordan Love 2-5 against the spread against teams under 500. Panthers at home this season 2-3-1.
He misses Christian Watson. That's what he misses.
Against the spread. He does miss Christian Watson.
Yeah, no.
CBS 1 p.m. Cleveland at Houston. Not the game everybody expected with these 2 records, especially with the quarterbacks that are playing, Joe Flacco and Case Keenum. But it's on CBS. It's 1 o'clock, and now we have the grown-up Eagle.
Gobbledygook.
Charles Davis and our good friend Evan Washburn.
The lobby is bustling. There is an energy here.
Browns are 6-14 against the spread in their last 20 games after a win. Houston, teams coming off overtime are now 130 and 160 straight up. 135, 153, and 2 against the spread in the last decade.
Don't you think the wheels are going to fall off eventually with the Flacco thing? Like a stinker's coming up, and it was almost last week. Remember, because the first three quarters,
the fourth quarter, yeah.
So and that stat you just gave is eye-opening. Dare I say, eye-popping. 130 and 160 straight up after an overtime game.
Yep.
So there you go. They lose games,
and they're under 500, and teams are under 500 against the spread. Detroit at Minnesota, another Fox vehicle. Who's on the call, Don?
That'd be Kenny Albert.
Most people would probably not know that I could play the piano by ear.
Joined by his crew, Jonathan Vilma and Shannon Spake, as we like to call her here.
A lot of people thought that Jonathan Vilma was biased for his Saints in the Saint Giant game. I didn't hear it, but social media was a buzz.
Interesting.
It was what, 27-6, the final score?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. 24-6.
Was he going to find bad things to say when they're up by 3 scores?
I just think people just have a bias.
But it's always like that with every team. You know what I mean? If like an announcer has some sort of an affiliation with the club, they're going to think that they're...
It's not right.
No, it's bad.
In Jared Goff's career, he's 24-16-1 against the spread versus division opponents. Nick Mullins and Kevin O'Connell, Nick Mullins, of course, being the Minnesota starting quarterback, if you didn't know,
that's right,
are 5-6-1 against the spread as underdogs. Obviously not together. Nick Mullins probably had some of those when he was in San Francisco, but interesting that they're both 5-6-1 against the spread as underdogs. We go to our game, Dan.
Oh, baby.
We will be starting our coverage at 11 o'clock on 98.7 and the ESPN New York app. But on CBS at 1, the Jets will host Peter's Commies, and you know who's got to have that game.
That is Antetokounmpo.
Fordham's own Spiro Dides, followed by...
Going up
oh, no.
And bringing it down for 6.
I don't have Boomer's Adam Golden Archuleta, but he's doing the game with the Didi King Wambala.
No.
Ron Rivera, 61-46-3 against the spread as an underdog. The Jets, teams after getting shut out, 30-13-3 against the spread, 70% since 2015.
2 touchdowns over/under Sunday. What do you think, Jets?
Under.
Under. You got to go under, no? I mean, it's a bad defense, but...
It's the worst offense against the worst defense. Something's got to give.
And by the way, that's Spiro Dides with...
Adam Golden Archuleta.
Thank you for the save.
Jacob. They do get after the quarterback, though.
They do.
Bit.
They do.
And the Jets are known not to protect the quarterback.
Spiro's family owned a diner by me. They had like the best pancakes in the area.
His heart is in the Jersey Shore.
What restaurant did we go to where we saw Spiro? Remember? Or his dad owns the restaurant we went to?
His family owned it.
We didn't see Spiro, but like you saw his dad.
Well, they owned the diner, and then they had something to do with that the place that's in business now. That was it, the Tap?
Yeah, on 22,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, so... But we're big Spiro guys.
But the diner was fantastic. I swear to God. And now it's gone like downhill. Like I won't set foot in there. But the pancakes were to die for.
Love Spiro. And I did tease, of course, the CBS 1 o'clock vehicle. Seattle at Tennessee. You know who's on the call of that? You already heard it.
Going up high and bringing it down for 6.
He'll be joined by Tiki Barber.
My go-to karaoke song is Sunday Morning by Maroon 5.
Matt Ryan and A.J. Ross. Andrew Catalan, of course, being on the call with Tiki. Teams playing on the road on short rest. That would be the Seahawks this week. After a win in their previous game as an underdog, 30-71 straight up in their last 20 years.
Is there a stat for teams playing on the road on Christmas Eve?
I don't have it right here with me.
Distracted by maybe like the holiday rush and all those things?
It's something that you have to take into account, no doubt. Mike Vrabel versus teams on short rest, 7-8 straight up and against the spread. We move to the 4 o'clocks. Jacksonville travels to Tampa Bay. CBS 405. You know who's got that call.
And it will not be a good night.
Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. Jaguars 6-1 against the spread on the road this season. While Baker is 14-24-1 against the spread at home in his career. That looks like a game that you'd want to bet Jacksonville. 425 on Fox. Arizona goes to the Bears. Kevin Kugler on the call, and he'll be joined by his good buddy Mark Sanchez.
Toby Shelton's clearing out defenders faster than a teenager clears his search history on his web browser. Holy smokes.
And Laura Oakman. Kyler Murray, 23-14-2 against the spread as a road dog. Fields, 12-21-1 against the spread in his career. We're going to do these quickly now. Fox 425, Dallas at Miami. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi on the call. Dak. 7-0 against the spread coming off a loss in his last 2 seasons. Tua, 4-0 against the spread at home against teams over 500 in his career. Something has to give there. Sunday night, Everybody's going to be tuning in as they're wrapping their gifts. Don talked about it yesterday. NFL Network, 8:15. New England at Denver. Rich Eisen, Kurt Warner, Sheree Burris, and James Palmer on the call. Belichick in his career versus Russell Wilson, 1-3 straight up and against the spread. Denver, teams traveling from a road Eastern Standard Time game home to a Mountain Time or Pacific Time game, 55-81 against the spread since 2015. Where are you getting that?
Stat there.
Where are you getting those from?
Nowhere.
Monday night, not just Monday night. 3 Monday games on the Christmas. Vegas at Cincinnati, CBS and Nickelodeon at 1 o'clock p.m. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. On Nickelodeon, you have Noah Eagle, Nate Burleson, and Dylan Schefter. Yes, Adam Schefter's daughter. Teams that have scored 55-plus points in their last game, that would be the Raiders, are 3-10-1 against the spread since 2011. Mahomes just 9-15 against the spread after a straight-up win dating back to 2022. 2 more games in 15 seconds. We're going to say goodbye to Yes here. We're going to pick it up in the new year with Yes. So enjoy that. The Giants, of course, traveling to Finland.
That's a wrap on the show for today, this week, and this year. For all of us here on the Michael K. Show, this is Chris Sheeran saying have a great night. Enjoy your holidays. We will see you after the new year on January 2nd.